Last week, James, you mentioned on the show Weetabix.
Yep.
And the listenership went through the roof.
As always.
And you mentioned that you were being sent some Weetabix drink.
Yeah, well, people couldn't believe... I couldn't believe it when Weetabix have released an energy drink called...
Sorry, I shouldn't have outwardly laughed.
Called Weetabix on the Go.
Yeah.
And
can I just make it clear? It sounds like we're doing an infomercial.
Yeah, it does sound like we are.
But this is genuinely a thing that's happened.
This is something that,
This really is. When they sent you those bottles, this is more than they expected to get out of it.
Yeah, the point is, let's talk about it on the radio, because we genuinely can't believe that it's happened. This isn't something like...
So Weetabix have released an energy drink?
It's an admirable step, isn't it, for Weetabix? No one saw that. There'll be a perfume next.
So who came up with that? That must have been quite the board meeting. Tell you what we need to get into. Energy drinks.
What did they go...
Guys, something happened this morning. I put too much milk on my Weetabix. And it was pointless using the spoon. I just tipped it straight in from the bowl. I've had a thought.
You should have seen me at the gym after I had that.
What flavour?
The thing is... Sorry, I just got distracted by a text, saying, can you ask John if 8 out of 10 Cats is coming back? It's on at the moment.
It's on at the moment, yeah. It's in that prime time Monday night slot. So
I think that guy needs to ask someone if his television's coming back. Really,
the person actually, the person, he meant Countdown.
Oh, I see.
Sorry.
Well, there might be some in the summer. Is that a good answer?
Yeah, sorry. I shouldn't have got distracted. I thought it was a funny tweet, but actually it's fine. But the reason I got confused is he's abbreviated the name of the show to 8 out of 10 Cats Down.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can use that on the show.
I've used every other joke I can think of about Countdown in the 16 episodes we've done.
Anyway, sorry, back to Weetabix, James. So, you've got the drink.
Thank you, Josh. They sent... Basically, people were tweeting photos of it at me, just because I'm from Kettering, which is next to the Weetabix factory. I'm seen as the spokesman for Weetabix now. So people
I don't think this link is dispelling that notion.
Yeah, at the minute, I've become that
Nobody
that guy.
ever goes in. Nobody ever comes out.
So I basically speculated it would be disgusting.
Yeah.
And so Weetabix sent me some to try and prove me wrong. And they sent me strawberry, chocolate and vanilla. I bought the vanilla one in today.
Would you be willing to tell now what happened with the tweet conversation with Weetabix and the other guy?
Oh, quite sad, isn't it? Well, this guy tweeted me saying, have you seen this Weetabix on the Go? And I tweeted back at this normal man just saying, yep, looks disgusting. And then Weetabix on the Go commented on it saying, if you like, we can send you some free. See for yourself. Just send us your DM us your address. So
you didn't text it to a radio station.
No. Well, I followed them and I DM'd them my address. But then also the guy who was involved in the conversation, the original guy, went, I'm trying to send you my address, but you don't appear to be following me. If you follow me, I'll be happy to send it. I felt quite sorry for I mean, hopefully Weetabix have done the right thing, followed him and then sent him some Weetabix on the Go as well.
Let's hope so, 'cause it made me laugh so much to read that conversation.
Well, if that guy works hard and gets on the circuit and writes a good Edinburgh show and gets nominated, maybe he'll get some
get some lovely Weetabix drink as well. Living the high life. But
so should we try it?
Yep. It says all the protein, energy and fibre. I'm not going to tell you if it's bitty or not until you try it. What do you imagine it to be before?
I imagine like if you mashed up Weetabix,
shook it up in a bottle.
I imagine it like, you know, like those biopot yogurts where they've got the bits of grain in it.
Yeah.
I imagine it a bit like a thinner version of that.
I'd be disappointed if it wasn't bitty, I think. I'd feel I'd been duped.
Yeah.
Okay, which is going to be disappointing, isn't it? Oh, may I say, before I poured it, no matter how weird this is for you drinking it, the most embarrassing thing is sitting on the tube holding nothing but a bottle of Weetabix on the Go and having everyone look at you on the way here.
And not being able to drink it.
They just looked at me for that. It's disgusting. they look at me like, what are you doing? Drinking stuff like that and taking it around. I was like, I literally am on the go.
I like the idea that someone had seen your act and was going, God, that guy's obsessed with Weetabix.
He does.
Here you go, John.
One for John.
Oh, thanks.
Now, it's not bitty.
Can I keep the mug? Got a little scam going here.
Right, are we ready? Are we gonna? It looks quite thin. It's not bitty, did you say?
Not bitty at all. It's, it says all the protein, energy and fibre of a
it
Weetabix
doesn't
cereal with
smell-
milk.
Right, we ready? That's all right.
It tastes like a yazoo. Really boring.
Like a yazoo.
Yeah,
Do you want to try that now?
No, I'm okay.
You sure?
I'll buy my own bottle.
Oh, Neil doesn't even dare drink it. We've got to get Neil to drink it.
Neil's allergic.
The three of us don't even having a problem with it.
I had Weetabix this morning, so I don't want to overdose.
I'll tell you what.
Not on the go.
No, it was organic at home.
Wow.
Really? What did you make of it, John?
It's all right, isn't it? If they want that for their advertising campaign, they can have it. It's all right.
Happy with it?
It just doesn't taste like Weetabix.
No, that's
I
got
do feel
nothing
disappointed.
to do with Weetabix.
They completely
It should just be called On The Go.
Yep, on the go energy drink. Nothing to keep the Weetabix thing a secret.
I'm not going to lie to you, I am absolutely buzzing.
For those of you who can't see, Josh has tied his sweatshirt around his forehead.
I feel like I've done a Jaeger bomb. Now, James, we've got something new for you, haven't we? From
Yes.
you. As comedians, we travel the length and breadth of Britain, I think it's referred to.
Yeah, and diagonally.
And diagonally. I only move, no, I'm like a chess piece.
Yeah.
You're like a queen in more ways than one. Am I right?
Oh, cue the complaints.
In the you wear a crown at all times. That's what I meant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I want to break free.
And your West End run has just been cancelled after 12 long years.
Gutted.
I move only in a night move. I have to do
In
gigs
an
that
L
are
shape?
yeah, in an L shape from where I'm stood. I don't know why I've started going on this thought pattern.
Be good challenge to give a bunch of people, I think. Your pieces on a chessboard, and this is how you. This is the only direction you're allowed to move in
your
from
life.
now on.
Oh, I wouldn't want to be a pawn. Anyway, so we thought we'd let you guide us around Britain one town a week.
That sounds good. Yeah.
So who do you want to start us off with?
First one, before we start with Norwich.
Classic.
I mean, a lot of people know a lot about Norwich anyway. Lovely place.
Lovely.
I was there about a year ago now. Lovely gig. One of the nicest gigs on the tour, I'd say. And me and my support act, Stuart Laws, in high spirits. Got
Pre or post gig?
post gig.
Post-gig.
Walking out of the gig like, yes, this tour is going to be great. We're the greatest. And then we got in the car, and the car didn't start. And that's like, it's 11:30. You got to go back to London in the night time. And so I've got somewhere on my phone. I've got a video that lasts about half an hour of Stuart trying to start the car and on the verge of tears.
Oh, God.
And telling me to
Is he
stop.
not in the AA?
Yeah, he was, but he was very much like, I'm gonna do this. Will start. He said, my mechanic said that when it does this, it will do it. It will start eventually. I just got to persevere.
Oh.
But you see him losing hope more and more, just losing faith in it. So he did phone the AA, and I went off to get us a curry. Cheer us up. So I'll be back in a minute, Stu. Don't worry. What do you want?
Poppadoms?
Of course I'm getting him in poppadoms. I want to cheer him up. We haven't got Love Actually to hand. Got to make him happier. So go get poppadoms at some curry. I can't remember exactly. I got myself a hotter one than I usually would.
To really boost your spirits.
I thought, I'll try something new.
Yeah.
Normally I go for the curries that have like one pepper.
Yeah.
But beside their name.
I go maximum heat. I love heat.
You do love
Hot food.
You do love hot food, don't you?
I love hot food.
You're always mopping your brow with a naan bread. So I bought the curries back. By which point the car was gone.
What?
Yeah, he wasn't where he was where he had been anymore. I got back. I was like, "Where's Stu? Can't believe this." But then I saw him because the car we were parked on the street that went onto a hill.
Yeah.
So I just kind of saw him go past the junction, being towed by this AA guy, trying to get him started on the hill, and then come back up again and then go down again, and then eventually the AA guy, I think, reversed it down the hill, which I don't think is legal, and managed to get it started. And then we got in the car and he went, right, and he said to us, "This car will not start again. This is so you cannot stop between now and London." And we looked at the petrol and went, right, we've got enough petrol to get us like 1 minute outside of Norwich at the minute. And he went, right.
You can't put petrol in a started car, can you?
No.
Well, can't we?
I wouldn't advise it.
We did it. the guy said that's what you're going to have to do.
Oh my word!
And we were like,
we just advised.
We said we don't feel comfortable with that.
No.
And he went, I'll come with you. So he took us. He followed us to he led us to a garage.
How did you open the
station.
petrol cap?
Huh?
So wouldn't you need the keys to open the petrol? No, you don't.
No, not on this car. We're fine. So we opened it now. Also, my thing is, so Stuart's filling up a car while it's still running, and my main thing was like, this might explode the whole forecourt. So my immediate thought was, I've got to get this hot curry off this forecourt because this is going to make matters worse.
Yeah.
So but then I stood just on the edge of the forecourt. I didn't run away far enough.
I hope you weren't on your phone.
That was not on my phone. Just filming that still. But I was eating this hot, and also it was too hot for me, this curry, so I was
So you were eating the curry?
I was eating it, but kind of going, like making really, and the guy, the AA guy, you know when AA people go out, and you just feel really, even less like a man than normal. When you have no idea about cars, and also you can't handle a curry in front of him.
Yeah.
A double whammy.
Did you offer him a poppadom?
Oh yeah, he had 2 poppadoms, that guy.
Oh.
But that was because like we gave him one at the beginning, and then later on when he was going, he was like, "Well, got a long drive home now." Actually, he kind of looked at us with sad puppy dog eyes, and like, "Have another poppadom. Take that for the road."
Dips.
We wasn't getting on mango chutney. It was 2 of us and 1 dip.
And you went for mango chutney?
It's my favourite one. What's yours?
That's mind blowing for me.
What are you talking about?
That absolutely. I cannot believe what I've just heard.
What do you like?
I'd go for the yogurty one.
Oh, come on, mate.
Or the lime pickle.
Lime pickle is good.
Lime pickle's quite nice. Mango chutney's delicious.
No.
Anyway.
Reminds me of mince pies. That's why I like it.
Move on.
But we were fine. We were fine. But the worst was when we were filling up the car, and it was running, there was another guy who came in to fill up next, like a middle-aged kind of, just a normal, doddering old man. He was filling up his car, and he looked over and saw what we were doing and instantly hurried up. He got really scared. He's like, went in, panic bought some wine gums.
Wow, that was really gave a flavour of Norwich.
Yeah.
But Norwich in general, you know, lovely.
And you were telling us about when you house sitted about a year ago.
Oh yeah.
But,
So I had to look after the cat. The cat was called Nikita, and was the most
Who were you
spoiled
house sitting
animal.
for?
My singing teacher.
Oh yeah.
So she was a real spoiled cat, and one of the things when my singing teacher was like showing me around the house and what I needed to do, she said, when you're going for a wee, don't.
Sorry. We
all do it, Josh, and I tended to do it while house sitting. I don't hold it in other people's homes, especially when I'm house sitting for them. She went, when you go for a wee, do not lock or close the door, because Nikita likes to come in and either watch, number one,
a voyeur.
yeah, or while you're weeing, she likes to drink out of the bidet. So you do have to wee and operate the bidet at the same time, so she can. But she'll only like to drink out of it while you're having a wee. And I was
Whoa.
so obviously,
What about what I want?
yeah. What about my life?
My needs.
Do you know what I want? To not be watched while I have a wee.
By a cat.
So I just didn't do it when I was house. I didn't do it, and the cat hated me so much. Every time I was going for a wee,
Now you're going for a wee.
could hear me. I'm a loud weeer. Also, side note, I kept the key to that house after I
Weird.
left, because she told me that she'd need me house sitting again. But then once I was in the town centre, which her house is near, and I was caught short.
No.
So I went to hers and she wasn't in, so I just let myself in. But it was a number 2.
James, that's really weird. That's
So
really,
it is really weird. But I was gonna have.
That's like in Pulp Fiction.
I was gonna have an accident or something, so I needed to go in there. But I went in the downstairs toilet.
Where was this, Kettering?
This is Kettering, yeah. This is. I don't know. Hopefully.
What would you have done if she'd come in?
Well, I'll tell you what, the worst point to come in would have been, because it gets worse.
Oh, no.
It was a downstairs
You're like
toilet.
the crazy man in a Wes Anderson film.
Yeah, I am, yeah.
Put on the Scrape Master t-shirt.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people probably won't want to hear this story, but like I did number 2 in the downstairs toilet.
No,
Did you leave the door
Is that
open
a
so
border?
that the cat could...
Just
Yeah,
to check, is number 2 the worst one?
Yeah, that's the bad one. That's the bad one.
Oh, God.
And but because I was in such a rush and so panicky, I didn't think to check if their toilet roll supply
Oh, James.
was
Oh,
to
what
stock,
to do? This
and it
is-
was not.
Oh.
So I had to make my way
Oh,
from the downstairs to the upstairs bathroom
James.
in a pre-wipe state,
Oh, no.
and the stairs,
Trousers up or down?
regrettably, no trousers. I just lost the trousers.
Oh.
I thought that would be the easiest.
So did you take your shoes and socks off to get your trousers off?
No,
as well?
I took my shoes off, but I left them in the
So
downstairs.
you went up with your
It can't be
Yeah.
true.
It's true.
lad having a dangle and your socks up the stage.
Yeah, really awful.
Wait a minute, you'd broken into a woman's house.
Yeah.
Using the toilet.
Yeah.
I think this is worse than breaking into her house. I
It
think
is
breaking
worse.
them as an old key you used to have is just
Yeah.
terribly weird.
You broke into her house, you were using the toilet,
Yeah.
and then after using the
James.
toilet, you realised there was no toilet paper.
Yeah.
So rather than pull up your trousers and waddle upstairs,
Yeah.
you decided to
I was thinking-
jettison the trousers.
I wasn't thinking straight.
Did you jettison your pants as well?
I wasn't thinking straight. I don't know who that guy was.
It's a moment of
feel like me.
madness.
But the worst thing, I mean, luckily.
Oh, what's the worst thing?
Well, no. Luckily,
There's more.
no one came home, but the stairs are right in front of the front door. So that walk up the stairs with my back facing the front door is the scariest walk I've ever had to do in my entire life. I thought, if they come home now, this is... I'm never going to live this down. It's gonna be
But
the
luckily,
worst.
no one ever found out.
No, luckily no one ever found out until I broadcast it on the radio.
Oh, God.
So,
That's one of the most... Because we're all having a laugh about what happened, but you still went into her house with her key.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
James, it's so weird. It's so straight up weird.
what would you have done if you'd got it? Was the cat there?
Yeah, the cat was there. It knows how to keep its mouth shut, though.
When you were upstairs,
Yeah.
did you use the paper there, or did you then...
Made the trip upstairs going, well, I've started my business down there. I'm going to finish it.
Did you flush before you went up?
Yep.
You left your trousers downstairs?
Yep. And then
What age were you, James? What age
I
were
had to
you?
go back down again, yeah. But this time a bit less sullied.
What age were you, James?
I would have been probably 18.
It's so weird. It's so weird.
Oh, my word.
I've never really told anyone that.
I wish you had.
Now, normally, we're joined by James Acaster for the final hour, but he can be here 'cause he's in Australia. But he has written us a letter from Australia.
Classic Acaster.
One of his classic scrapes. Are we ready? Plump up a cushion, listeners. Have you got some story music?
No.
No, okay. Nish got drunk and ate 20 chicken nuggets.
That's not a very story music start to it.
We all made fun of him and called him Nishy 20 Nugs for 2 days straight. Then, one night, I got drunk and got it in my head that everyone respected Nish for eating 20 chicken nuggets and didn't think he was a greedy little pig. So I went to McDonald's at 4 in the morning and ordered 20 chicken nuggets. I then sat down and filmed myself eating them while trash-talking Nish between nuggets. I forgot all about the whole thing until I discovered the footage on my phone a few days later when trying to show a nice girl a photo of my nephews. She immediately lost interest in me.
Wow.
I mean, Alistair Cook's letter from America is nothing compared to that letter from Australia.
My friend and crackpot Matt Ewins once ate 40 chicken nuggets in a month.
Really?
Yeah.
Don't tell James Acaster.
He's sort of like a snake in that he doesn't eat for ages and then will just sort of eat an entire antelope. Last him for days.
Or chicken.
Or in this case, a box of chicken nuggets.
I mean, that is a lovely letter. That's a second dispatch from Australia. James will be travelling on to New Zealand as well, taking his scrapes with him. So we'll be hearing more from him, hopefully, on his way around the south. Ruining your parents' possessions.
Yep.
I bet you've done that, haven't you, James?
8 days after passing my driving test, I wrote off my parents' Ford Fiesta. Does that count?
Next.
Better than my one. My brother put some syrup on a door handle.
So how did you write off your parents' Ford Fiesta?
I was racing home, so needed a wee.
Yeah.
And span off the road.
Span off the road like Nigel Mansell.
Because there's mud on the road. I was spinning round in the mud.
You were spinning.
Yeah, span. Went up a grass verge, smashed into a hedge, and then balanced on 2 wheels for a bit. And
All right, big shot.
and not deliberately, not the back 2.
You did a wheelie.
There's the 2 on the side. The 2 on the
Down an alley.
Yeah, down an alley, balancing a beach ball on the hood of the car. And then it went back on 4 wheels. And then I was like, oh, I've crashed the car. But I thought I could probably still drive home. I hadn't seen the state of it yet. So I thought I'd drive home. And then I pulled out, and then it immediately stopped in the road again. And I couldn't get it started. So I looked in my rearview mirror, and there's a car coming pretty fast up behind me. And then I looked ahead, and there's a car coming pretty fast towards me.
Oh no, the accordion effect.
So then... and they both saw me at the last minute. So they both went to go round me the same way.
Oh no!
Just crashed into each other. Both ended up in a ditch. No one was hurt. I got out. How's it going?
James Acaster.
First time driver, need a wee. I've wet myself.
How'd you wet yourself?
No, didn't
So
wet
what
myself.
happened? Did the
results?
Should have
stress of the
really.
situation
I was
kind
quite
of
impressed.
overshadow your need for the toilet?
Yeah, I completely forgot about the toilet, and then my mum had to come and get me. Obviously, got me home, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, I need a wee." I said, "I better go for a wee, mum. I've needed it for a while." Sorry about the car, by the way. Sorry about the car, but thanks for picking me up.
Unbelievable.
That was my first of 3 car crashes.
Yeah.
We can do the other 2 in instalments.
In the weeks to come.
To get more and more dramatic, that's the lamest of all of them. So.
Oh, the third one's unbelievable.
Oh yeah. Very, very rarely is the third one the best in a trilogy. But when it comes to Acaster's car crashes.
Well, should we do them now?
Yeah, next week or when you're next on, yeah.
Yeah, car crash each time. Why not?
Scrape time?
Yes.
You have a scrape for us that you've been involved in?
Big time.
Big time.
And within the last month.
Oh, fresh. Fresh scrape. Not from the archives.
Oh, no, not from the archives, mate. This is a very recent one. I got cabbaged.
What does that mean?
Is that like eggs?
No, I didn't know what a cabbaging was until it happened to me. I got cabbaged. I was staying around my friend David Trent's house.
Yep.
He lives in Cambridge.
Yep.
I was doing a very late night gig where I finished at 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
And was staying around his house. I had a key to the house. I let myself in. A bed in the front room already laid out for me.
Oh, this is potentially a nice situation.
Yeah. Already, I'm quite happy. I went to the door and there was a post-it note on the front door that said, "Cabbage moment." And cabbage was spelled C-A-B-A-D-G-E. Cabbage.
Cabbage.
Moment. And then a green scribble. It's a kid's handwriting. Children's handwriting. A post-it note on the door. I didn't know what that meant. Cabbage moment.
On David's door?
Yeah, on the
At
front
2
door.
a.m.
Front door of David's house. It's a cabbage moment in kids'
Yeah.
hand. So I let myself in. I got in. Washed my teeth. got in my gym jams. Which is, you know...
What do you wear gym jams?
Boxer shorts.
Oh, right.
Just me and my boxers, mate, if you want to imagine that.
I'll give it.
Rather not.
But it is important to the story that you know I was bare-backed, actually. That is important.
Okay.
Got in a bed in the dark. Bed feels a bit weird. Got up, turned the light on, full of cabbage leaves. Just full of cabbage leaves in the bed.
What?
Loads of cabbage leaves in the bed, and then a napkin. And written on the napkin it said, "You got cabbaged." Ha 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 ha. Lol lol lol. From Mick. Mick is Trent's 8-year-old son.
That is a chip off the block. Anybody who knows David Trent knows that. Is a good thing.
Yeah.
That's classic.
So said that. And I had to process that and get all the cabbage leaves together with the napkin put on. I was really tired. Went to sleep, and then I had to get up at 8 in the morning to get my train. So I woke up like really tight. I had to just get up and rush to the train. went home, and then Trent got hold of me later on and went, "Did you find all the cabbage stuff?" I said, "Yeah," and he went, "Well, I've just got home, and the family are all really upset because you didn't do anything back. You just got cabbage and then you left it." So,
What are you supposed to retaliate with?
well, he said you're supposed to cabbage him back or do something. He said, if someone cabbages you, you can't just be cabbaged by an 8-year-old and then walk away like it didn't happen.
So, but he was in bed.
He was in bed, but
What were you meant to
he
do?
reckons that when I woke up in the morning and all the family had gone to work and school, I should have put the cabbage leaves back in Mick's bed and wrote, "Ha ha, Mick, you got cabbaged." Because Mick came home and was... went to his mum, "Has he left a note? Has he done something?" And his mum was like, "No." And then David came home and his wife had to be like, "David, James got cabbaged and he didn't do anything." He didn't retaliate, didn't cabbage him back. And now
you're
Mick's
not
really
invited
It's one of the rules of cabbage etiquette, isn't it? Really? I mean, they haven't been explained before.
No one explained them
No.
to me. I don't know. I don't know if I'm welcome back. Apparently his son's really upset. Also, it's too late now to do anything. What can I do? Send a cabbage to his house via Tesco
In
online?
a jiffy bag.
Yeah, send it.
Send a sprout in a jiffy
Yeah,
bag.
sprout him.
Sprouted.
Sprout him.
Send a cabbage in a box like at the end of 7.
Yeah. With a face drawn on it.
Yeah.
Do you know that's what was actually in the box?
Yeah, cabbage. He said, you got cabbaged.
You got cabbaged. The eighth
he
deadly
cabbaged
sin.
me.
Thou shalt not cabbage.
Thou shalt not cabbage.
Never. Oh, what's it? What you're not going to do with your neighbour's ox? Never covet thy neighbour's cabbage. We went a long way for me to say that.
Or cabbage thy neighbour's ox.
Never
Well,
cabbage thy neighbour's ox.
What do I do now?
Wow.
Well, I would do a distance cabbaging.
Would you?
Yeah, I'd do some
distance
sort of
cabbage.
distance cabbaging.
What would you do, Neil?
I don't know. Maybe... When are you next going there? I haven't
Whenever.
really got an appointment in, but like, David says that if I do anything now, it's too late anyway and lame.
Also, there'll be a horrible tension in the air as soon as because you'll be eyeing each other like a couple of
But when you
saloon
got up, had
cowboys
Mick gone?
waiting for somebody to draw out a cabbage.
The cabbages and each other.
When you got up, had Mick gone?
Yeah, they'd all gone. Gone to work and school. Mick had gone to school. He's 8.
Yep.
David's wife had gone to work. David was doing some work as well. Everyone was out the house. I had to rush and get a train. I had no time for cabbaging.
Oh, well, I don't know. Maybe we should. I mean, what we'll do. I mean, if the listeners have got any advice.
I said that on his 18th birthday, I'm going to fill his bed with carrots. And David said by that point, Mick will be old enough to beat me up.
James Acaster. Hello.
Hello, Josh.
So what is your what? I mean, what? You've got an update for us, basically, haven't you?
Furious, mate. I've been cabbaged again. Twice.
Do you want to just fill us in very briefly?
Somebody
on what
needs to
happened
bring
last week?
Susie up to speed because she
Yeah,
looks
bring
terrified.
Susie up to speed.
Susie, a few weeks ago, I stayed at my friend David Trent's house, and I let myself in at 2 in the morning with my own key. There was a children's drawing of a cabbage on the door, on a post-it note. I got into bed, and there were cabbage leaves in the bed with a note from David Trent's 9-year-old son, I've been told to say, not 8. There's a note from David Trent's 9-year-old son saying, "Ha ha 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 ha, you got cabbaged from Mick." And then the family thought it was very odd that the next morning I just left without saying anything about it. I didn't cabbage him back, didn't do anything, and the whole family think I'm really weird for not returning the cabbage. The cabbage.
What do you think of this, Susie?
I am shocked.
Yeah.
I'm so confused. Is this a thing that I don't know about?
No, apparently.
Look, if you get cabbaged, you got a cabbage back.
Well,
Now there's been so last week, James, we said, are you going to cabbage back? There were some suggestions that maybe you could send him some. You were going to make a postcard out of a varnished cabbage leaf. We were considering.
sending him that.
Or what was the
Taunting him on
other
postcard.
suggestion?
Getting a PS2 box or PS4 box, filling it with cabbage leaves, giving it to him on his birthday, seeing how excited he is about getting a PS4, and then seeing him cry when he sees all the cabbages.
So did you do any of these?
No, I was planning it. I was telling him what I was going to do, and then he delivered half a cabbage to me in the post. Half a cabbage is more psychologically damaging, you know. You know how much weirder it is? How much weirder it is to open up a box and find half a cabbage neatly cut in half rather than a whole cabbage. Is it cling filmed?
So you just delivered to your house?
Well, it was delivered to my house, but it went better than I think this 9-year-old boy could have planned, because I was out when it tried to, when the postman attempted to deliver it, I was not in my house. So they left a note saying we tried to deliver this, you weren't in, go to the post office. And it was perfectly timed, because I have recently ordered a book by my favourite author and a DVD by my favourite director at the same time, and Amazon had sent me an email saying we're delivering them, they will be delivered today.
Oh, so you were really
So
excited.
they're going to get delivered today. And then I got another email from Amazon in the day while I was out saying you weren't in, so we're going to try again tomorrow. But then when I got home, there's this note saying go to the post office. It's like, great. The post office, I can go and get it. The next morning, I wake up half an hour early because I've got to go to Uxbridge, so I think I'll plan my day out. I'm going to go to the post office beforehand. Half an hour less of a lie-in. Went and queued at the post office.
This is wonderful.
This is amazing.
So brilliant.
Queued up while a guy who was at the front of the line was really arguing with the clerk about having to show his ID to get his package. Claims that had never happened before, so I had to wait for quite a long time.
Did
Quite
he
worried.
get his cabbage?
He wasn't. Not everyone was getting cabbages.
Oh. So you got to the front.
What's the front?
How was it packaged?
Well, in a big, like a cubed box. Is that a thing? A cubed box. But it was way too...
Just
I was
a
like,
cube?
A cube.
Yeah.
I was like, this is too big for a DVD.
Yeah.
I didn't understand.
Too big
and-
for a whole cabbage.
Yeah, and the address was all like written on a computer and printed out from Word, and not like Amazon normally do it. I was like, this is strange. And then I was
Do you normally get yours handwritten?
yeah, normally Amazon.
Hi, James.
John Amazon actually personally writes out James's deliveries.
Really hope you enjoy the book.
Hey James, this is not a cabbage from Amazon normally.
So it was in a box, and you opened the box. Had you twigged by this point?
No. I wasn't expecting to be cabbage so soon after the first one. I haven't even got a
And you were
chance.
plotting your return, weren't you?
Yeah, I was still planning to cabbage him back.
No one expects to get cabbaged.
Not
The
twice.
cabbage back kid.
No, the cabbage back kid. Very good.
You're welcome.
And so what happened?
Well, my curiosity got the better of me before I even got to the tube. I was walking. I was walking with the box, and I thought, I've got to see what they've done here and how they've packaged my DVD and book in such a big box. So
Well, can I just check? Was it if it was Amazon Marketplace, you might have still had hope, or was it? No.
it's just a big box, but I just thought, well, maybe. But that's what I started to think. I started to doubt where I got it from, and Amazon, like, maybe I have got it from, just an independent seller. And they put so much gaffer tape on it that I couldn't get in it from the. So I was in the street trying to get into this box and failing. And then I had to turn it upside down and rip it open, and then people were walking past and saw me reach into the box and pull out half a cabbage. And look, I just looked really confused. And there was a note fell out onto the floor, and it just says, ha ha, in capitals, cabbage, and cabbage spelled CABEDGE, in brackets, again, Mick, and then he's drawn a bike with an arrow to it that says random bike.
Well, I mean, you've been cabbage, James. What we'll do, we'll play a song while you put yourself together, and then we'll consider if there's going to be some comeback. This is Miles Kane.
Josh Widdicombe. XFM.
Kings of Leon don't matter on XFM. We're more or less coming to the end of the Josh Widdicombe show, but obviously some things to tie up first. Thank you, Nish Kumar, James Acaster, Susie Ruffle.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But mainly, James, what are you going to do about this cabbage?
The main problem here is that last time we discussed it on the air, Trent played the recording.
David Trent, his dad.
David Trent played Mick Trent, his son, the recording of us discussing what we were going to do.
Good podcast hit.
And yeah,
Take it.
Take it.
and Mick got the
If you
idea.
can get maybe Mick to download it separately, that would be great.
That's kind of like cabbaging him back, right? But he got the idea from this second cabbaging from us discussing sending him a box with cabbage in it. So I'm quite scared about discussing a plan, because if I do, I feel like it's going to happen to me tomorrow from him.
Yeah.
So I would like.
So you're planning to fill his house with cabbages?
I would like, one suggestion is for this wardrobe with Brussels sprouts, so that when he opens it, it avalanches him. It's quite hard, but
If you are listening, Mick, and you know, if we want to maybe next week get the other side of the story.
Wow. Phone in, Mick, by all means.
Yeah.
If we want to get Mick on the phone next week, what his plans are.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, this thing could run on run. All I'm saying is, if you come to the Edinburgh show, 9th to 12th of August, 10:30 p.m, and don't bring a cabbage.
Missing a trick.
And now, for the second week in a row, we've been hijacked by the victim of cabbaging, James Acaster.
Hello, Josh. Pleasure to be here.
How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Have you been cabbaged since we last spoke to you?
I've not been cabbaged, but I have lived my life in fear of cabbaging. I'd be lying to say.
If you haven't been listening, James was brutally cabbaged twice. But basically, the first time you went to your friend David's house, there was a sign on the door that said, "You're about to be cabbaged." You got in your bed, it was full of cabbage leaves.
Full of cabbage leaves, and a note that said, "Ha ha 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 ha, you got cabbage lol."
From his 9-year-old son, Mick. Now, secondly...
Is that like the vegetarian mafia? That's what they do. Like, vegetarian godfather.
Yeah. It was in the shape of a horse's head. Yeah, it was.
Secondly, you then received... You were waiting for an Amazon parcel with slightly too much excitement.
I was really excited.
It got delivered, you thought, to the sorting office. You went to the sorting office.
Yep.
What did you find?
I found a box with my name on it and half a cabbage inside.
Oh, this child's a genius.
Yeah. And half a cabbage is more psychologically damaging than the whole cabbage.
He knew that. He knew
that would get to me. Like, why has he cut it in half?
Now,
where's the other half and when does it come into me?
You are here because we have... I've brokered an interview with young Mick Trent, the 9-year-old cabbager.
Josh Widdicombe, XFM.
James, you are here because I've brokered an interview with young Mick Trent, the 9-year-old cabbager. How do you feel about this?
Bit tense. I haven't spoke to him since the cabbaging has occurred. He's been cabbaging me and we haven't been in contact at all. I feel like I'm at the newspaper where the Zodiac Killer rang up.
Just silent cabbaging, like not even.
Yeah, just
not
cabbaging.
Even a message on the cabbage.
Well, yeah, the messages on the cabbage. First one was just ha 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 lol, you got cabbage, and the second one was cabbaged again, Mick, and then he drew a picture of a bicycle on the note for no reason with an arrow to it saying random bike.
What we're going to do, we'll phone him up. I'll speak to him without him knowing you're here, James, and then we'll surprise him, and you two can have peace talks. So what are you... Hello, is that Mick?
Yep.
Hello, how are you, Mick?
Good.
Now, Mick, we want to talk to you about cabbaging. Is cabbaging your idea?
Yeah.
How did you come up with it?
Basically, I had some cabbage leaves. My mum was saying put them in the bin. I went to the door and then saw James's room, and then that gave me an idea of cabbages and putting cabbages in people's beds.
Why did you decide James? Why did he deserve it?
It was just the first victim.
So is there going to be more victims?
Maybe.
Oh. Well, here we go. Now, Mick, this is a big moment. We have your arch nemesis, James Acaster, here.
Hello, Mick.
Hello.
Laughing, are you already? Laughing at the memory of cabbaging me. Mick, I have been told that I can offer you an olive branch or a cabbage leaf of peace. But guess what?
What?
It's not going to happen, mate. Never. I will never declare peace until I have cabbaged you back. I promise I will cabbage you back one day, and when that day comes, you will know that I am the true cabbager.
How do you feel, Mick?
I don't feel anything.
Thank you so much, Mick. Could I tell you, while James is maybe, a bit annoyed, you are a hero of the show and the listeners. Continue cabbaging. Thank you very much, Mick. Goodbye. Now we have an exciting. We've had some over the last few weeks some issues with cabbaging of James Acaster. If you've been listening, Mick Trent, the son of the comedian David Trent, put some cabbage in his bed. He then sent him half a cabbage in the post. Both times Acaster failed to retaliate. He was cabbaged twice. We then got Mick Trent on the phone on this show, who told him he was going to continue his reign of terror and that he felt nothing.
I wonder what the postage would be on half a cabbage. That's all I can think.
I reckon David Trent would have paid this dad. I don't think Mick Trent would have spent his pocket money on it. We have no knowledge of where the other half of the cabbage is. We now have, on the line from Edinburgh, with hopefully a cabbaging update, James Acaster, good morning.
Good morning, Josh.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yes. Let's move on from the pleasantries. Any cabbaging updates?
Using me for my cabbaging updates once again. Doesn't care how I am. Yeah. There's a couple of cabbaging updates. Number one, this is just a little taster for you. This is a warm up. Somebody has started up a Twitter account called Cabbage, spelt the way that Mick Trent spells it. So CABEDGE, and they are sending me photos of cabbages on a regular basis.
How often are they doing it?
So far, I've got two, and one is of just a cabbage with the words "oi oi savoy" written underneath it, and the second one was a van full of cabbages, like a van that you couldn't move the cabbages in the van, and it just said "special delivery for Mr. Acaster," and a van full of cabbages.
Do we think this might be Mick Trent?
There's no way it's Mick Trent, but I suspect it's a listener who has decided to take it one step further so that I can't really get away from it. And there are loads of people who are liking and retweeting the pictures of the cabbage.
Oh, I think
Well
producer
done.
Neil did that, didn't you?
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
I sent cabbaging a picture back.
What of?
A cabbage. Try and claim it as own game.
That is okay, yeah. If it was of you, Neil, that would have been really weird. Just sent a photo just of yourself with a headshot, smiling, black and white.
Like his casting call photo.
The sides, all the best, producer Neil.
So, James, any other updates?
A couple of weeks ago, me and David Trent went to see Monty Python at the O2, and we brought our fathers with us as well. And me and my dad were on our way, and Trent's dad, whose name is Monty Trent, going to see Monty Python. Very funny. We had a real good laugh at that. We called it the Full Monty. We called it the Full Monty. It was so funny. And David was late getting there. But his dad, Monty, was already there, and I was told to go and find Monty, so he knew where to go. And Monty was right outside the O2, and I walked up to him, and he was smiling at me, and he had a plastic bag in his hand. He went, "I've got you a present." And I looked at his little smile, and I knew what it was. I knew I was about to get cabbaged again. And this is the first time I've been cabbaged, like, face to face. Like, I've had it before when it's like in the bed as the culprit's asleep or in the post, but this was the first time he handed me the bag, smiling, and I looked in and he'd wrapped it up like a present in happy birthday wrapping paper. And I unwrapped it. It was another half a cabbage, cling filmed, with a note written by Monty just saying "cabbaged."
So what are you going to do?
Well, I've got a plan, but I can't reveal it on the air, because the last time I revealed my plan on the air, they did it to me.
So, have you seen David Trent? You're living with David Trent, aren't you, in Edinburgh?
I'm living with David Trent in Edinburgh, so, I mean, I think I'm not going to get cabbaged during Edinburgh. I can see him. Right, literally, I'm sitting in front of my computer now. As I'm speaking to you, someone just cabbaged me on Twitter again.
Live cabbaging.
A live cabbaging. So,
I think that's it looks like a Ford Escort estate car full of cabbage.
Well, James, we're doing XFM Live in Edinburgh from next Saturday till the Tuesday, where you'll be there.
Yeah.
We'll get cabbaging updates from you then. Until then, stay safe.
Thank you, mate. You too.
So, James, your scrape.
Right. This is...
Now, these are ones you can't do on the radio, or...?
Yeah, it's very difficult, because you're very keen on me telling rude scrapes here that I can't tell on the radio. But I'm very shy. So, I can either tell story of a horrendous gig or a lady.
Lady.
Also, the phrase rude scrapes sounds phenomenal with your voice.
Yeah, rude scrapes. Okay. I did a gig in Bath.
Oh, I love this.
And unusually, it went very well. Very good gig. And I came off, and I was. Do you know this story? So I was watching the rest of the gig from the back of the room, keeping myself to myself. And there was a hen night in. And normally hen nights don't pay any attention to me. But one of the hens broke away from the group and came over to me and said, "You were very funny." I said, "Oh, thank you very much." I was chatting to her. She's a lovely person. And at the end of the night, also, it should be pointed out that I was staying in a flat next door to the venue. This is very clever. And after the gig turns into a disco. Or, as grown-ups would call it, a nightclub.
Was there squash?
There was squash. And all the boys were sitting on the chairs watching the girls dance.
So you thought the gig had gone so well you'd stay for the disco?
Yeah, well, you know, I was only staying next door anyway, and she was like, "Stay, you should stay." I was like, "Okay, I'll have a dance." And
I mean,
I was
everyone
dancing.
is picturing that in their heads currently.
Dancing very nicely. And she said, "My friend, the hen, is trying to get kisses from every man, so like a man, to work her way through the alphabet. She hasn't got J yet. Your name's James."
But that's the easiest letter to get, isn't it? Men's names.
Mate,
I was outside going, for fuck's sake!
I was inside telling everyone my name was Jish Kumar.
She said, "Do you want to go and kiss my friend? Because your name is begins with J." And I said, "I don't know." And she went, "Well, you can practice on me if you like."
Oh!
I said, "I don't need practice." And I went and kissed her mate. I've done it before. It got to the end of the night, and she said, "Oh, I'm going to go home." I said, "I live in Chippenham. I'm going home." I said, "Oh," I kind of looked a bit disappointed, maybe. I was like, "Oh, okay." And she went, "Well, why? Where are you going?" I was like, "Oh, I'm just staying next door." She went, "You think I'm that kind of person, do you? I'm just going to come next door with you?" I said, "Heavens, no. No. I do you know what?" So I even implied it. I'm going to go next door on my own. I'll give you my number. We can meet up another time. Got into the flat. I was in the flat for about 5 minutes before I got a text from her that said, "Where are you?" I may have changed my mind. I said, "No, I'm in the flat." So I came out into the street. She was there. She said, "My friends have gone home to Chippenham. I decided to stay here." I was like, "Great, we'll have a lovely time." So...
Did you actually say we'll
have a lovely time? What were your plans?
Hashtag sex.
Once you've said heavens no, you can pretty much say anything.
So, what's going on here?
Sorry, I was asking for another beer because I was enjoying the story so much.
That's fine. So, she walks...
Sorry,
how long is this fucking story, Josh?
Josh knows.
4-pack out.
So she comes into the flat.
Hello? Yeah.
And
so you told her
mind.
she was going to have a lovely time.
Said you were going to have a lovely time.
Were you worried she was a little keen?
No, I thought.
If anything, that was playing into your hands.
I was
Classic Acaster.
Absolutely delighted. Couldn't believe it was happening, Josh.
What's the flat like? You presumably know this place.
It's the Bath Comedian.
Yeah, Bath Comedian flat.
The flat is... it's like one room that's been made into a 6-bedroom flat, isn't it? And
Yeah.
it has either no central heating or the heating is always on at max.
Bingo.
There we go.
Heating on max. Better take our clothes off.
So we can have a lovely time.
Heavens, yes.
Now, she transformed
my life.
Into a
my
man.
world.
Into a man.
I'll
say Bath, it was Thailand.
So she had been a lovely lady in the disco.
How old was she?
Probably my age.
Oh, okay.
My age. And as soon as we walked into the flat, I shut the door and she went, right, go out and get me a Chinese takeaway.
This is like a scene from a Michael Haneke version of Transformers. It's just called Emotional Transformers, where somebody comes in and goes, I'm having a great time, and then they immediately go, I want to kill you.
Yeah.
So you said no?
I said, if you
Were
like...
you drunk?
No.
To be fair, you had promised her a lovely time, mate.
I had a lovely time.
I love the
Did
fact
that lovely time come with 3 prawn crackers?
Yeah.
But the fact she said, I'm not that kind of girl, and she's changed her mind, but then thinks, hang on, if I'm not that kind of girl, I'd probably have to have a meal first.
Yeah.
I mean, the classy way to do this is to get a takeaway.
Yeah. Sent him out for a Chinese takeaway. So she said, go and get me... It wasn't like, let's order a Chinese takeaway. It was like, go and get me a Chinese takeaway. And I said, we can, if you like, we can go out and we can, like, eat together. We can find a place and we can have a meal. And she went, no. Go out and get me a Chinese takeaway.
So, of course, at this point, you thought, this girl's not for me.
I thought, she is trying to rob the flat. She's heard about the Bath Comedia flat and its bounty. And she wants to get me out the flat, and then when I come back, it'll be empty. Right, so I was like, we can go out and get a meal if you like. She said, no, you go and order me one. I was like, I don't feel like I should go out and just like get you some food. We can both go and get some. We could order some. And she says, no, you go out and get me some or nothing. I said, I hope I can do that. She was just like, well, at least make me a cup of tea. I said, okay, I'll do that.
She seems reasonable, though. She's gone from Chinese takeaway straight to tea, like without any intermediary. Do you know what I mean?
Knows how to... Yeah.
That's good. She's a nice girl.
I'm in the kitchen and making us cups of tea.
She with you?
No, she's in the living room. I've left on her own.
Filling her pockets?
Yeah.
Case in the joint.
Passing the TV out to the hen do.
You
haven't kissed anything beginning with T yet. So, making the teas, I come back into the living room, and she has found and set up Twister. By herself.
Number one thing that determines that that's a psychopath, mate.
Yeah.
You need to get out of there.
So I was had the teas, and she went, we're playing this. Very angrily, she said that. We're playing this. And I went, are you sure? She went, it's sexy.
It is wipe clean.
Yeah. So, we started playing Twister, but there's 2 of us. And 2-player Twister, I don't know if you've ever played 2-player Twister, it lasts a long time. It's quite difficult. We were nowhere near each other for the whole game. And it only landed on feet for the whole thing. So we were just walking around a Twister map.
Like a really slow version of those dance machines.
Yeah. Just nowhere near each other, just looking at each other from across the Twister mat, occasionally having a drink of tea because we could.
Just her moaning every now and again about wanting a spring roll.
Awkward. She's getting really angry as well that the Twister game isn't as sexy as she thought it was going to be. So she's very angry about it. And she said, and she just gave up. She said, this is stupid. This is a stupid game.
Did you worry at this point that you picked a bad one?
Yeah, at this point.
Yeah. I was concerned. Yeah. We then had an argument. We had an argument about... She said, men are from Mars and women are from Venus. And I went, yeah, I'm familiar with that. And she went, no, but literally, though. I said, well, not literally. And she went, yes, literally. That's what I believe. I said, well, I don't know. She said, you don't believe that? I went, no. She said, what do you believe then? I said, oh, yeah, from Earth.
Did you actually say from Earth?
From Earth.
I have a theory that we're all from
Yeah.
Earth. That's just my belief. That's just my
You're
opinion.
such a stick in the mud, Acaster.
We're all from Earth. We all came from Earth.
Sounds like the name of a biology textbook. Men are from Earth, women are from Earth.
Earth also.
Sorry, what?
The same part of Earth.
How long did it argue? So she argued back?
She argued back. At one point she said, well, what about the creation story in the Bible? And I said, I don't personally believe that. And she went, I do. I went, you said you believe we're from different planets? And she went, I'm allowed to contradict myself. I was like, oh, I'm not winning this argument. There's no way I'm winning this. And then at the end of the argument,
Do you think she was trying to piss you off, or do you think she did believe?
I haven't got a clue. I didn't know what was happening at that point.
I
just played a game of Twister which ended in a draw, which I've never done before.
Was she quite literally on red?
Yeah. She was. I was defending the fact that we're from Earth, so I didn't know what's happening. And
Can I just say on behalf of all of us, thank you for defending that position.
Finally, someone says it. But she ended the argument by going, "Oh, just shut up and run me a bath." So,
of noodles.
Yeah. I ran her.
I mean a soup.
I ran her a bath.
Did you run the bath?
Oh, you are.
I ran her a
What
bubble
is wrong with
bath.
you,
it was a
man?
bubble bath. She was in bath.
Were there
She was
other-
literally. We were in bath.
That doesn't mean there's no law in baths that says if somebody asks for a bath, you have to give it to them.
She had not gone back to Chippenham. She was stranded. It was my responsibility.
Acaster,
What time of night was this?
This is probably, at this point, probably about 1 a.m.
Mate, you should have booked her a flight back to fucking Venus.
Were there other comedians staying over
No,
watching
it
this
was
happen?
just me. I had the flat to myself. That's why I was so confident early doors. So I ran her a bath, a bubble bath, and she had the bubble bath. And I kind of sat upstairs in the bedroom.
Oh, so you weren't you weren't allowed to be in the room when she had a bath?
No way. It's in the
So you
bedroom.
became like her carer,
Yeah. I'm looking after her.
making her cups of tea,
Yeah.
walking her around the room, and then running her a bath.
Yes.
Wash me, James. Wash me. Yes, yes. No one's from Earth. Now just drink your tea, have your bath.
Yeah.
We'll have a trip to Venus tomorrow if you want.
I was sitting in the bedroom reflecting on the evening so far.
And what were your reflections?
I was thinking, well, I'm not sure how this has happened, but in a typical male way, I was going, there is still a chance you might... This isn't over yet.
And at absolute worst, I'm getting 10 minutes of material. out of this.
One day, Josh might get himself a radio show. That's what I was thinking. And then she came upstairs in a towel, and we kissed for a while. And then...
So
whoa.
how did you
Whoa.
Call her carer, for God's sake.
How did you don't just kiss after all that? There must have been some bartering or some kind of bullshit thing you had to agree to.
No. She, it was different again. She just came in. It was like she was just like, "Yep, totally, you passed the test."
Was it kissing or did she head straight for Venus?
Yeah. Said, I asked
Talking
you to
about
buy me
his
a
knob.
Chinese meal. You didn't do it. Pass. I asked for teas. You made them. Pass. We played Twister. Draw. Perfect.
It's like the
We
weirdest game of nightmare ever.
And it was a stupid argument. You stood your ground. I asked you to run me a bath. You did. Now you get kisses.
I feel sorry for the poor bastard that she met last time and forked out for a Chinese takeaway and got fuck all.
Nothing.
Failed that test at the first hurdle, yeah.
He ran into the first hurdle.
Okay.
So, after the kissing, okay. It's where I get uncomfortable. She basically brought up the question of, do you have a
Penis.
Penis to use? Do you have a condom?
Was she saying that you should be safe when having a lovely
Yes.
time?
We should, if we have a lovely time, let's do it in the most loveliest way possible. Be safe about it. I didn't have any of that stuff because I am not used to being in these situations.
Did you say heavens no?
I said heavens no, I do not have that. So she said, I saw a 24-hour shop opposite the flat. You can go there and get one now and come
She
back.
saw a DVD player she was going to steal. That's what she said.
24-hour shop. It's right next to Mr. Hose.
Yeah.
Who is not a hose merchant.
So she sent me out to buy them to the shop. I went to the shop, and the shop was closed. It was not open at all. But I was like, I can't just go back because this very demanding woman. And I looked down the street, and I saw a nightclub that was open. So I thought, I'm going to go to the nightclub. And there'll be toilets there that have them in. I'll go there. So I went to the nightclub. It's a very popular nightclub. I had to queue up for 20 minutes. Only to be turned away at the door because they were closing. They were closing now, mate. Forget it. Like, you're not getting in. I saw another nightclub on the horizon. I thought, I'm going to walk there. So I walked there, queued up for 10 minutes. Again, I was turned away and I didn't get in. I was walking away from the nightclub. I've just got to go back to the flat now. As I was walking away, there's a guy walking next to me. Such was my desperation, I turned to the man.
Oh, God.
I said, hello. Oh, no. I don't suppose you happen to have any condoms on you? And he went, yeah, I've got a whole packet. I haven't used them. And he just gave them to me.
And James and I have been friends ever since.
I can't believe it. So I was like, great, I'm going to go home now. And then I turned to go home, and I realised I had walked so far from the flat, I didn't know where I was. I'd walked about half an hour away from the flat in different directions, going to different nightclubs, trying to score condoms, and got them from a stranger, and now I had no idea. I didn't know where. So I started just walking in the general direction, thinking maybe this is it. I got more lost. I got more. By this point, by the way, I've been away from the flat for nearly an hour. At one point, I'm walking down a street, and then I hear like a rushing of feet, and then about 14 teenagers jump out of an alleyway, surround me in a circle. I'm in the middle, I'm looking at them, and they're all looking at what's going to happen. And then they all start jumping up and down, clapping their hands, and singing Ollie Bongo, Ollie Ollie Bongo. Over and over again, it's going, Ollie Bongo, Ollie Ollie Bongo, Ollie Bongo, Ollie Ollie Bongo, Ollie Bongo. And I'm there, oh, this is not what I thought I'd be doing, but not now. Singing Ollie Bongo at me. And then they run away giggling. I got a cab back to the flat. I got to the flat. I went up to the bedroom, and she's there in bed. I said, I'm back. Got them. And she went, too bad I'm not in the mood anymore. Oh! And we went to sleep. And then an hour later, I was woken up by her leaving to get the train home. I said, oh, are you going? And she went, this is a really sad end to the story, by the way. She just went, oh, don't be such a baby. And that was it. That was the end of the night. Literally, the end of my evening. And I've still got that box of condoms to this day. That was it.
James Acaster, ladies and gentlemen. Right, now, James, to bring us to the end, before Tim Key attempts to extinguish a flame with a gun, you each week have each show have a classic scrape, which you'll take us through a scrape from your sitcom-style life. You seem awkward.
I don't know what one to... Basically, with these shows, because we are allowed to do bluer stuff and stuff we weren't doing on the radio, I don't know what to do. I don't know. I've got quite a few...
You could do one that involved Mike Wozniak.
Really, that one? Yep.
Or what have you got?
I've got Precious Little. So if you want me to do that one, I'll talk about that one.
It's a great scrape.
I'll do this for Josh. This may or may not show me in a good light. But remember, guys, I survived multiple car crashes.
You're like the white version of Samuel L. Jackson in Unbreakable.
Yeah.
Not a reference any of us are getting on board with. So let's get on with the scrape.
You also caused multiple car crashes. That's so it's potato.
Yeah, you know. So, okay, this happened. When was this? This was like probably
4 years ago.
4 years ago.
Four, 5 years ago.
I'm 24, 25. I've just moved to London, and I'm going for a quiet drink with my friends Josh Widdicombe, Henry Packer, and Mike Wozniak.
Legends.
Yeah, lovely people.
I was probably busy.
Nish was
When
very
was it?
busy.
Was it 2009? 2000? Yeah, I was busy.
We-
Busy.
We've been ringing Nish all night. He wasn't answering his phone. So we're there having a drink. It's nice. Got quite drunk, I'd say. And then Packer managed to get us an invite to a house party where we didn't know anyone. And I still don't know to this day how he did that. I don't know how he did it. He went to the bar, he came back, we're going to a house party. And next thing I knew, I was at a house party. I didn't know anyone there. I was sitting on the sofa, and I was feeling uncharacteristically confident. I was very confident at this house party sitting there, and a lady came up and started speaking to me. And what I meant to say to her while she was talking was just like, I wanted to tell her that I would like to kiss her. That's what I wanted to say. And instead of doing it in a clumsy way, I did it in a way that sounded really confident and arrogant, but not deliberately. It was just, I was so drunk. I literally just went, she was halfway through a sentence, and I went, sorry, just so you know, I'm going to try and kiss you in a minute. Carry on with the story. like I was a proper, player. Which wasn't how it was meant to sound. I was trying to be polite. And I came across like, yeah, I fucking continue with your story, but we all know where this is going.
Did she continue with her story?
Huh?
Did she continue?
Carry on with the story.
Did she make the story longer?
She did. Yeah. The story was an amazing saga.
So just to reiterate, I was.
This girl's fucking omnibus.
No, the
here.
sky wasn't azure. It was sort of more.
She told a story, and then she told another story and another one because I forgot that I'd said what I had said. It slipped my mind, and I just got into the stories. And then she went, sorry, did you not say you were going to kiss me at some point? And I went, because I was like, I don't want to be like, oh yeah, sorry, I forgot about that. So I was like, yeah, it's coming later.
And that's.
You just hang back and you keep telling those stories because
and that's how J.K. Rowling came up with Harry Potter.
all booked in one night. I helped that lady out.
Can I just say, it might be the beer talking, but I really want to kiss you right now. This is, whatever it is you're doing, it is
Matthew,
working
stop you there.
fucking
Stop you there.
charm.
I'm going to kiss you in a minute. I was supposed to so you know. Later on.
I'm a married man.
You carry on. So she said, so I did eventually, I kissed her because she called me on it. She went, I don't think you are going to kiss me, you know. So I was like, well, I will prove it by cleverly kissing you.
Just when you say lady, that does make her sound about 50.
Yeah, so, okay, she was probably, I was what, 24? She was probably 23. Okay, on with the story.
Catholic cougar.
She was a Catholic cougar. Just come out of a relationship where a man had done some fucked up stuff to some ponies, and that was what most of the stories were about. So I didn't stop her. I was like, no, go back. Are you sure they're addictive? I don't think that's true.
And that guy, he's in prison now, right? Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry. He's not allowed in public society. Of course not. So we had a kiss, and then she said, I don't live far from here. Let's go back to mine. And I was like, I can't believe this is happening. So we left, and when we walked out of the house, we stopped and we kissed against the wall of the house for quite a bit. Quite probably, I would describe it as, from my part, eagerly, overly eager. Considering how cool I tried to play it up until that point, I really gave the game away when I was so happy to be kissing a girl.
I'm glad you said overly eager and not just eagerly like an eagle.
Yeah, I wasn't swooping down at her from above
with talons. You didn't.
Yeah.
Can I fill in what actually happened?
You can describe to people what. I thought
Acaster thought he was kissing up against a wall. What he was kissing up against was the window of the party.
Yep.
So we were stood in the kitchen while
And, by the way,
framed.
it's not a small window. It's not a small window. The whole wall was a window.
God. Was a kind of frame of you and her pressed up against the window.
This must be one of those glass walls I read about.
Smooth bricks.
These bricks are so slippy.
Mike Wozniak, in the party, the most adult of the party, interjected by leaning over and just pulling on the blinds so they came down.
What a gent.
Apparently, to the disappointment of all the other parties, was the most fun they'd had all night. I would like to say that the scrape stops there. It doesn't. It got way worse. We went back to the flat. She was a student at the time. She'd come over. She was living in a student residence, and we got to her dorm. Is that a thing?
Yeah, dorm,
and, yeah. And we're outside, and she went, "We can't go in there because I've got a roommate. It's a tiny room, and and she's asleep at the moment. We can't go in there." I said, "Okay." And she said, "There is, however." It's about 3 a.m. She said, "There's a kitchen on this floor that everybody shares."
Shares.
And if you like, we can go in the kitchen. And I said yes, because we were there. It would be weird if I said no. No, you go to bed and I will return to the party where everyone's just seen me getting off with you against a window. So what happened in the kitchen stays in the kitchen. There was a point where she left me on my own in the kitchen, and I don't know if you've ever been in a kitchen before on your own, knowing that you're possibly about to have sex, and you are looking at all the stuff in the kitchen, trying to decide what the best surface is.
Where to write your haiku, that sort of thing.
Yeah. It's a very rough chopping board and stuff like that, and a sink. There was an IKEA sofa that was very small, very tiny, and I thought that's the softest thing in here, but I'm very gangly and I don't think I can fit on
I don't
there.
think you can be fussy if you found a sofa.
Yeah, but
You're in the kitchen.
It was so small.
There was one 4-poster bed.
I'm astonished that the chopping board was in play at all. Well, there's a sofa, but on the other hand,
I'm going to fuck you in a
board.
beaker.
Open this
Oh, this
dishwasher up.
colander looks roomy.
What I figured out with the sofa was that, because it was quite small, I knew that I wouldn't be able to fit on the sofa really. So while she was out the room, I figured out that if I grabbed one of the armrests and with my hands and rested my ankles on the other one, I could kind of do push-ups. Kind of like that. And she walked in on me practicing.
Oh my
I'm not proud of that.
What state of undress were you in at this point?
I was fully clothed, but I had to explain to her, look, this is I'm thinking of you. It's for your good as well as mine.
I think Dando said I was thinking of you.
So we did that, and then afterwards, obviously I was.
It happened.
We still, well, remember the Casanova I was back at the party. She thought maybe he's still that guy deep down. Maybe there's still an element of that. So I stayed over, and we went into her room, and it was a really tiny room. There were 2 beds and a very slim aisle in between the beds, and her roommate was asleep there, and as we're
On the other bed, not in the aisle.
No, not in the aisle, in her bed. We were creeping in, and the lady said to me, she pointed at her roommate asleep, and she went, it's her birthday tomorrow. And I went, look, I've already had sex with you. I don't know. I know you're admiring my skills on the small sofa, the tiny sofa, but we went to sleep in her bed. And when I woke up, I was there's so little room in there, so she was asleep next to me, and I was like half out of the bed with my leg in the aisle, and her roommate's head just there next to me, asleep. And I wasn't prepared for that. I kind of turned around and sort of did a bit of a like that, and which woke the flatmate up. And she looked at me, and then I just went, "Happy birthday." And she just rolled her eyes and went back to sleep. It was like, oh, again, and then went to sleep. And then me and the lady went for a coffee.
Give her a name.
We never exchanged names.
Right, you exchange numbers, you don't exchange names.
I know that's bad.
Names is very natural.
10-digit number, I guessed for weeks. But we left the flat, and this is always Josh's favourite part of the story. It's a bit weird. But,
It's so good.
We left the flat, and we thought we were going to go for some a drink together. And as
Breakfast.
For breakfast, yeah, sure. And
a breakfast drink.
On the way to the cafe, for most of the journey, we were chased by I think a Yorkshire Terrier wearing a T-shirt that said "I heart bones" on it.
No, I wouldn't have predicted that.
With its owner just shouting from down the street for it to come back, and it just like scampering behind us. It's a pink T-shirt that said "I heart bones," and it's both of us like we go, I don't really know what to do with this. And the doctor's really like, you've been bad. And then we went to, and we had a drink at a cafe, and I got a Snapple, which is an American juice there, where and you pop the top, and on the top there's always a fact on the inside. And the fact that I had was the average human being spends 2.5 weeks of their life kissing. And I saw that, she said, "What's your Snapple fact?" And for some reason, I thought, I don't want to sound sleazy like I'm trying to. I thought that if I told her the fact, it'd be like, well, hey. Apparently, the average human being spends 2.5 of their weeks kissing. How about me and you do that in one go? Yeah, so something. I thought I would sound like a sleaze. So I just went, oh, nothing. And she was like, no, what did it say? I went, I'm not telling you. She was like, why aren't you sharing? And it was really awkward for the whole thing. She was like, why? Just tell me what. I was like, no, I'm not telling you. And eventually I went, fine, I'll tell you. And then I just made up a fact. Well, I just said a fact that I'd heard at a pub quiz instead. And it says armadillos are the only other animal besides humans that can catch leprosy.
Really?
That is true. That is true. But it would never be on the inside of a Snapple.
It's not far off. That's quite close to a Snapple fact.
Yeah. But yeah, that was never.
I mean, that
never
is-
wanted to see me
That's
again.
great. Was like the third Lord of the Rings movie. Like, it's like every time you thought it ended, there was another better ending.
Yeah. But you're still convinced it's ended?
And then no, that is the end.
Did you ever hear from her?
No, never heard from her again. I don't blame her.
James Acaster, everyone. So we come to the final section of the show, which is James Acaster's scrape. Henry will be drawing this scrape, and we'll give the drawing to the person we consider did the best text. We'll discuss that at the end. Not text, best anecdote. We'll discuss that at the end.
Whittles, are you a tiny bit pissed?
Nah. So, James, a scrape you've got into.
Hello, Josh. This is basically the worst gig I've ever done.
Cheers, mate.
So I refuse to tell a scrape. You can all go fuck yourselves.
That Dido reference deserved a lot more.
Yeah. Not many people reference Dido, guys. You don't know how good you've got it. Not that funny. Fuck yourself. I was asked to sort out the comedy lineup for a festival called Felfoot Sound. It's the first time they'd ever done the festival in North Yorkshire in the Felfoot Woods. And I sorted out me and a bunch of friends. We were told we were going to do comedy around a campfire. The rest of the whole weekend was experimental bands, and that we would be doing comedy around a campfire. It'd be very nice. We were told it was going to be a lovely, lovely gig.
Why were you asked?
Why? The organiser I used to be in a experimental band also, and he used to book us for gigs. And he said, "Are you doing comedy now? You can come and do some comedy at the gig."
What was the name of that band?
The band was called The Wow Scenario. It was the best band ever. The Wow, that name again, The Wow Scenario.
And they're still on MySpace, so...
Didn't it have an exclamation mark after wow as well?
Yes, exclamation mark in the middle of the name. How many bands do that? No one.
No. They're so
Godspeed You Black
experimental, they
Emperor
weren't
do
even
that.
on MySpace, they were on LinkedIn.
Business. So I sorted out a lineup, and we made our way down to North Yorkshire, up to North Yorkshire. On the way there, we stopped off at Tesco and bought loads of marshmallows because we thought we'd toast them around the campfire with all the festival goers.
Fucking hell, it's pretty rock and roll, isn't it?
And we arrived at the Felford Woods, and the promoter said, right, we've been told that because it's the last day of the festival, we've got an early curfew now. The last 2 nights they haven't been happy with how loud the music's been, so the music has to stop at 10. So we're wondering, if we stop the music at 10, the comedy can start then in front of everybody, so the comedy will be the only thing on.
Oh, God. So you were headlining the festival?
Headlining the whole festival.
You were doing Sunday night?
Yeah, we're doing the last night, closing
You were
it.
Kasabian?
Yeah. we were Bruce Springsteen. And as far as the punters were concerned as well, they thought it was carrying on as late as normal, and they didn't know comedy was even at the festival at all.
Imagine Glastonbury, 10:30, on the Pyramid stage. And now, Josh Widdicombe.
Good evening, Glastonbury.
Toilets, eh?
Kettles and toasters. Oh, nightmare.
You go in one, and, has anyone been to the Thai food stand? Thing with Thai food, I mean, what is it? It's not Chinese, it's not Indian. It's sort of, no, don't throw those.
Your Widdicombe impression is starting to sound like a drunk Alan Partridge.
Let's get back to Acaster. Bit of focus, guys, bit of focus.
So yeah, we were told this, and the last band played, and they stopped at 10, and the audience loving it, expecting there to be at least 2 more hours of music, and then an old man called Barry walked on stage, and
what kind of stage was it?
This was it was actually a lot like this. It was on the floor, and the audience were raked on a hill. The audience were on a hill looking down on the stage.
So was it a proper stage with
There was lights and everything. Yeah, it was very it's a proper stage.
And how many people are we talking about? How many?
We're talking. I'd say about 500 people at this particular festival. So Barry walks on, and Barry owns the woods. They're Barry's woods. He owns Felford Woods. They're his woods. He's given these people permission to have a festival there, and he walks on, and they go ballistic. They love Barry.
How old's Barry?
Barry is probably late 70s, early 80s. He's an old man. He walks on, they go crazy for him. And Barry has so far closed every day of the festival by reading a poem. So he walks on, like applauding the band, and then they start shouting, "Read us a poem, Barry, read us a poem." And he goes, I can't read you a poem, actually, because I want to introduce some comedians. And they go, "Tell them to fuck off!" Pretty much all of them, really loud. Also, it has been pointed out to us that they've all been doing mushrooms for 3 days straight. So shouting.
Does this festival still exist?
I don't know. It might. It's the first.
Can I get on it next year?
Yeah, you can go. I can hook you
I'm
up.
a bit offended you didn't ask me to come if you're creating it.
Sorry, mate. Back then we weren't as tight, but now you'd be first dibs. So we're going to fuck off, and then eventually Barry yields to doing a poem, and he does a poem called "Into the Woods."
Have a fucking day off, Barry. We get it. You own the woods. Move on. I've got another one called King of the Trees.
If you go down to the woods today, you'll see me because I fucking own the woods.
The only line I remember from Into the Woods was "Into the woods, up to no good." That was it. That was all I can remember.
Silence.
That is a chapter title, weirdly. It's
So Barry does the poem, and at the end of the poem, he was "up to no good," and they all just erupt, they go ballistic. They're applauding. There's birds flying out of the trees. Everyone's loving Barry.
They're called
so
women, mate.
much. Yeah. Also, while they were applauding Barry, I remember while they were applauding him, a guy jumped on stage and pointed at Barry like this. like an elf, just. So everyone applauded. So just in case people weren't sure exactly who they were applauding, it's Barry. It's Barry.
So to Barry was the hero. The first ever corporate I did. I've had to follow a guy. It was at end of, it was a company awards, and it was a guy who'd done 50 years of service called Roy, and he got a tearful standing ovation, and they said, "And now here's a new comedian, Roy." And
sorry, Karen.
No, Karen.
No. I've not.
1 point for Moldova.
I've got a corporate story, but I'll
Yeah,
follow
go on.
yours.
No, go on.
I'm very bad at this. I don't know when it's my turn.
It's your turn.
Okay. I did a corporate for the Indian Tsunami Relief Fund.
Livid Kumar.
I mean, I'd take it if I'd have lost it to Romesh.
For £250, which is big corporate money.
I'm sure you did give it to the cause, though, didn't you?
They had enough good singles that they'll be fine from royalties.
The cause.
The cause there.
The cause.
A
was
reference
the
from an
joke.
old Acaster joke, we assume.
And I was brought on by an ex-Blue Peter
Blue Peter.
presenter.
Hello. Can you hear me, Josh?
And what I followed, so it was in a function room at a hotel in Bristol, and I followed a very moving slideshow of some of the most explicit and harrowing images of the tsunami. And the tsunami was absolutely terrible, and an awful lot of people died. And then another victim died. Because after showing the slideshow, the ex-Blue
Jesus.
Blue Peter.
And that live presenter said, "Right, now some light relief from a Bristol-based comedian." And then he read from, now there's a website called Comedy CV. Which basically, when comedians start, they put up a CV onto a website and then they don't update it ever again. So he said, "This young comedian has played gigs as far and wide as Plymouth's Fandango Club and the Taunton Brew House." The Bristol Evening Post has described him as fresh and original. Ladies and gentlemen, John Robbins. I then walked out on stage in front of about 50 people, all of whom were local businessmen from the Asian community who I then told about my life for 15 minutes. I was booked to do 30. I had followed a very moving slideshow of photos of people who had died, literally. And I left, and I took my check, and I promised I would never, ever do stand-up ever again.
John's show is on every day in the President's Courtyard. Do catch it. It's a
9:45.
hit.
Ironically called This Tornado Loves You.
James, back to...
Thank you, Josh. Barry finished. Everyone loved him. And then he said, "Now some comedy." I was the first act on. I walked on to boos. I've never been booed on stage before. was booed quite ferociously on stage, and I walked on clutching all of the bags of marshmallows we had bought.
Oh no!
While throwing them into the audience as a way of like, it was like if you're thrown to a lion's den, just like armed with nothing but raw meat, and you're just desperately trying to fend them off and just quell them in some way. And they were heckling for the whole gig. They were heckling, and they heckled all of us all the way through solidly. But there's one guy on the front who had like long hair and a beard, who wasn't shouting out like everyone else. He was just speaking, just doing a speaking volume, so only we could hear it, which is more... If you want tips on how to really mess a comedian up, don't shout out, so just speak to them directly. He was just sitting on the front, and all he said for the whole gig, he just kept on going, you can suck my dick, mate. Oi, mate, suck my dick. And you kind of be doing your gig, and then every now and again you kind of go, I don't want to... you could kind of carry on. You'd be trying to do it. There was one act on who I hadn't booked. I'd sorted out everyone apart from one guy who he went on, and we'd never seen him before. The promoter had booked him, and he went on. Bearing in mind, the rest of us were doing kind of like light whimsy, and we're getting abuse from these festival goers. This guy went on, and his opening line was, "Is it me or are all women lying whores?" was his first line, and he was the only one out of us.
Was it him or was it?
Huh? It was him, because he got a lot of bottles thrown at him, and a bag of marshmallows hit him square in the face. I did throw it. They're all dying one by one, and the last act, my friend Nathaniel is on, and he's getting the same treatment. And then the guy who's been saying "suck my dick" for the whole thing, he stands up during Nathaniel's set, and he walks around the back of the stage and just approaches me and my friend David, who we're both on.
So was there a back to the stage? So
not really. Yeah, kind of. No, not really. They could see the back. He was just walked. Everyone could see him, but like, by that point, professionalism had gone out the window. It really wasn't an issue. And he came up to me, and I thought, right, I know what he's going to ask me, and I'm not going to do this. You're not here to collect what's rightfully yours. And he said, it's something he was friendly, and he went, you know what, mate, look, you guys are struggling, you're a bit shit, no offence, but I reckon I could do better than this. Can I get on? I can just do a comedy set. And my friend David went, sorry, what are you planning on doing? He went, I'm just going to go on. I'm going to say, hey, everyone, 3 cheers for Barry. And I'm going to give a cheer for Barry. And then I'm just going to do 1 minute. I'll just do 1 minute of pure comedy.
And that man was Josh Whittaker.
Yeah. This is how I met Josh.
You still haven't sucked my dick, though, have you?
There's a big finale tonight.
Yeah.
Well, medium-sized finale.
Just one day went by where you don't bring that up, Josh. Every morning I'll see Josh. You still haven't... Yeah, I know what I haven't done, Josh. Just leave it for 5 seconds. So he said he was going to go on to do that, and I thought, yeah, okay, because I don't like him. He hadn't been nice to us. I thought he was going to die along with the rest of us. He deserves it. So when Nathaniel finished, I walked on. I said, Felford Sound, the comedy's not over yet. You've got one more act. And he told me his name. So I said, please welcome one of your own, Rybo. What's his name?
What? How's he spelling that?
R-Y-B-O.
Rybo.
Rybo. His name was Ryan, and yeah, he was cool. So introduced Rybo, and he walks on, and he walks on to the kind of applause normally reserved for Barry. It's ridiculous. They loved him, and I was like, oh shit, he's going to absolutely rip this, and we're going to look like a bunch of no-hopers. He goes on, he goes, hey, Felford Sound, how's it going? Then massive cheer. A round of applause for Barry, huge cheer again. And then he launches into his 1 minute of pure comedy, and I apologise in advance for what I'm about to say. He went on, and he said, well, Felford Sound, I was in my tent last night, and there's a couple in the tent next door to me, and they were going at it, you know what I mean, mate, you know, they were going at it, and I heard the bloke at one point, he shouted, I'm going to come in your pussy. That was the reaction it got. Just silence, everyone looking shocked, horrified, apart from one guy who looked really proud of himself. But like, everyone was appalled. It was a horrible thing to say. I walked on to the silence and I went up to Rybo, who was still facing the crowd and looking. And I said, Rybo, I think it's over, mate. I think that's it. And he went, I thought that would go well. I said, I know you did, mate. We've all made mistakes tonight. I bought 10 bags of marshmallows on the way here. Like we've all misjudged this gig. Like don't worry about it. Let's just get off now. And he kind of grabbed my arm and he went, please just let me do one more joke. Something about how I was like, yeah, I know I shouldn't, Rybo, but you got to do it. And I was still on stage at this point. He didn't let me walk off stage before he did his joke. I was about a foot away from him. And he just turned to the audience and dropped his trousers immediately. And he kind of turned round 180 degrees, then dropped his boxer shorts so that it was just his butt. And then he turned all the way around again, revealing what is still to this day the most disfigured penis I've ever seen. In my life, I've never seen a penis with corners in it. Had one very prominent corner. There's more. So there's a corner, and me and my friend Chris both agreed that it was at least 75% bell end. Yeah.
So how big
it looked
was
really
it?
awful, and I was there on stage with him still. And everyone gasped, obviously, and Rybo realised that it looked not impressive. So he started to try and make it look more impressive. Now, we're all adults, we know how this is done, so he started just tenderly at first, masturbating said penis into stuff like, but he'd been doing mushrooms for like 3 days straight. It was a slow process. So he's kind of I'm still next to him, but it's still me and him. Still very much a double act at this point. And I like to think I'm the straight man.
Yeah, it's cannon and balls.
So he's doing that, and everyone's really... He's kind of waddling around. He's still got his trousers around his ankles. He's kind of like...
So who's got the mic at this point?
No, there's no mic at this gig. There's no mic at the gig at all. There's because of the curfew, they've done it acoustic in front of just the audience like that. So there's no mic. And he's
unplugged.
Yeah, unplugged. He's waddling around. He's furiously masturbating. He's having no effect at this point.
Oh my God!
Then he starts shouting out, "I'm gonna come in your pussy." Now that comedically is a callback. He's shown a lot of professionalism. Under these circumstances, it's quite. I started respecting him for a second. And something about comedic structure, Rybo. It was pretty good that you brought that up. But I realise it's up to me to sort this out, and I'm out of my depth. I'm gonna level with you. This doesn't happen often. The gigs I'm used to doing, I don't really know how to handle this. But I'm saved because there's a woman who's like stood right at the back, and she spent the whole day dressed as a dog. Oh no, she was in a onesie dog outfit with like big furry, fluffy dog ears. And she stood up right at the back of the hill, right at the top of the hill, and she started running towards the stage with her ears were flapping in the wind. Really fast. She got to the lip of the stage and she jumped. And as she jumped, she clotheslined Rybo with her arm straight to the ground and started slapping him. But forehand and backhand, just pinning him down with her knees and just slapping him back and forth while he continued to masturbate and shout his catchphrase.
Did anybody film this?
No one
filmed it. That is the exact niche pornography I'm into. It really is.
It sounds like a scene from Lars von Trier's next film.
Literally, the woman dressed as a dog has pinned him to the floor. She's slapping him. He's masturbating, shouting his catchphrase. I'm stood there. And then they turned off the lights, and that was the end of the festival. How the whole festival ended.
I think that story might have just sold 200 extra tickets for next year.
Felfoot Sound.
Wow.
If she'd been dressed as a cat, it would have at least had narrative structure. And now we can recreate that scene. Gordon, come on down.
Wow. What a story. What, I mean, that's it. I would like
to nominate.
I would like to nominate for discussion a band called the Wow Scenario.
What? Have you lost your mind?
Now, people, has anyone here heard of the Wow Scenario? James?
Yes.
Who are the Wow Scenario?
The Wow Scenario are Graham Wicks and James Acaster, and they were a band in existence in Kettering between 2004 and 2007.
So this was your band before you became a comedian?
Very much so, Josh, and I took it a lot more seriously than I should have.
What genre of music did you guys operate in?
Experimental jazz pop.
Do we want to hear some Wow Scenario?
Well,
yes, please.
Do you want to first? I've grabbed some stuff off Rolling Stone of their sort of top 10 bands of all time article. And if you want to hear a bit about them before hearing
let's hear a bit about them before then.
Sounds about right.
The Wow! Scenario.
Exclamation mark in the middle. That's amazing.
Who does that?
Godspeed You Black Emperor and The Wow Scenario. Yeah. The Wow Scenario were a two-piece...
The Go Team.
Yes,
Not funny,
correct.
The Go Team is another
Let's
one.
have accuracy over humour.
Whatever happened to the Go Team?
They're still going, mate.
Still making videos.
They're fucking brilliant.
Are we sure they didn't go the way of the Wow Scenario?
What, into Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Thank you.
So let's take us through the Wow Scenario for people that...
The Wow Scenario were a two-piece experimental pop group formed in Kettering in 2004 from the ashes of post-hardcore heroes Three-Line Whip. Just to let you know, this is an absolute goldmine of terrible band names. Graham Wicks, formerly of Children of the Teeth. Not finished yet.
Their album
strap in, that is the least funny one.
Children of the Teeth. I think I'm going to be sick.
It's like you're describing a bad dream. I was in class and then the Children of the Teeth turned up.
It also turns out you don't need helium to get Widdicombe's voice to that pitch. Just mention an old Acaster band name.
So you weren't in Children of the Teeth?
I was not in Children of the Teeth.
Were they good?
They were a hardcore band. They were pretty good. All their songs were about a minute long and were about not following the rules.
Their album was all fillers, yeah?
Very good.
There he is. He doesn't speak much, but when he does, it's fucking good. Ollie Goodness, ladies and gentlemen.
I nearly made a terrible tooth joke.
What was it?
I'll make it.
Yeah.
Do it.
And they had very incisive guitars.
Fucking hell.
Awful puns, the list. That's an actual quote from a review I got this year. So, we have already got to their first...
Sorry, it's just that guy has been leaning over to see James for quite a while. And he finally gets to see what he looks like.
It's like Blind Date, mate.
So
you could have had.
We're still in the early formation of the band. Graham Wicks, formerly of Children of the Teeth, the new hardcore skiffle movement, and the Capri Sun Quartet. I mean, you summed up the voice of a generation.
We all really liked Capri Sun.
You weren't a tribute band to Orange Juice then?
If only.
I mean, not that funny, but right, come on, not that funny, but
in the Capri
it's
Sun,
a deep cut that people are going to enjoy.
You were in none of these bands,
I was in the Capri Sun Quartet and the new hardcore skiffle movement. Oh, right. And Capri Sun Quartet, we all had individual names where we had
like the Spice Girls?
Yeah, like the Spice Girls, where we would have our middle name as our first name, and the surname would be a flavour of Capri Sun. So I was William Strawberry.
And he's in tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Who were the other ones?
Ian Forest Fruits.
Ross Blackcurrant.
Richard Umbongo.
That's not a flavour of
the rest
Capri
of them.
Sun.
He just really hated Capri Sun.
Yeah. Can't
He was the
remember
rebel of the
everyone
gang.
else. Jacqueline Orange. Anyway.
Did you have, at your gigs, did you have a squash pit?
Lovely, lovely.
Absolutely welcome.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, don't take the pith out of the band.
Yeah.
That one was the last straw.
Yeah.
Oh. Can we move on? That wasn't one. That was just genuinely, can we move on?
We know that wasn't one. Can we move on? I'm not doing fruit puns.
isn't it?
There's such faith in Josh in the room that everyone would be going, it must have been a joke. All through James's story.
We probably just haven't eaten a move fruit. That's he knows what he's talking about.
So, and James Acaster, formerly of Pindrop, Charlotte's Own, and the Capri Sun Quartet.
Charlotte's Own.
Charlotte's Own band I was in at school. We only played the prom, and it was named after... We didn't know this. Everyone else in the band just thought it was just a nice name, but the lead singer, who was a girl called Samantha, named it after a popular girl she didn't like. And then they had a fight in the changing rooms over the name, where one of them scratched the other one's face really badly, and it had scratched face throughout the whole of prom. Brilliant band.
Why would you name your band after someone you didn't like?
Because I think she really wanted a fight, and she got what she wanted.
Should we hear a song and then talk about their first gig?
Yes. So can we hear some of the
What song are we playing, Neil? Which one?
We'll find out when we play it.
I just want to know the name of the song.
That far.
James, how would you describe this music?
Life-changing.
Can we hear some WoW scenario, please?
Oh, it's Instructions to the Wizard's Castle. Reverse guitars to begin with.
Sounds like Mogwai.
Thank you very much, John. Listen to the drums.
Skeletons stop shaking when silence starts to sing. It's these social situations you got yourself in.
Drumming.
Whoever makes this look
Quite derivative of Children of the Teeth, really.
confidently, she interrogated me. Wow, trying to pushed me into another mood. So long, there wasn't any need to change it.
Tough listen, isn't it?
Oh, it's not easy, mate.
Is that you singing?
I may also be singing. Not a good singer.
I think that's WoW scenario.
Yeah.
Technically, that was life-changing in that it made you decide to be a comedian.
It sounds like a sort of cross between Mogwai and Gorky's, which is amazing because it was only 7 years after the formation of those bands. So in many ways, you were ahead of, so...
You know, in that early section of the show, the fans will know that anyone can play guitar. It'd be a great one for James, a few years down the line.
Try and play guitar.
No, it was celebrities that have released singles.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, because it was yeah.
Anyway.
We move on to their first gig. Their first gig was at the Northampton Picturedrome.
Oh, terrible gig.
Now, every comedian will cry when you say those words because it's the worst gig that has ever happened. It's the only place where I have ever died as a compere, which is a fucking horrible scenario. Because you have to die every time you come back on.
I actually got an email after I did a gig at the Northampton Picturedrome, which said that I was one of the best compares the guy had ever seen, but it was then followed by the quote, despite what everyone else seemed to think.
Imagine doing a gig in a Wetherspoons where the audience are made up of people for whom Wetherspoons is too classic. The first gig at the Northampton Picturedrome, now home to one of the country's most revered stand-up comedy gigs, was host to the first performance of the WoW scenario. The boys would be supporting Northampton legends, the Retro Spankees.
We all know the retros, right? We all know the retros.
The gig was underattended, and most of the audience did not listen to them. It's very much similar similar experience to all comics, apart from the fact it's always full. In a desperate attempt to find their audience, the boys got stickers made that read, quote, "That's wow for now," and, quote, "The wow scenario, we do."
So Richard Hammond ripped off your idea. Is that what it
mate.
The latter being a deliberately obscure slogan the band was trying to establish in order to attract the right people to their gigs. The right people being those who didn't fear what they didn't understand. That is such a great mission statement.
It went really well.
After a long night running around Kettering on his own, putting stickers on bins, roadsides and lampposts, Graham was apprehended by the police and made to remove all the stickers with warm soapy water. Not dissimilarly to the guerrilla advertisers who used my posters in Edinburgh this year. Were made too, after the council were contacted. Hashtag EdFringe! Do you want to hear another song? Do you want to hear some more?
How much? Let's hear the rest of the description, then we'll finish with the song.
In 2007, which is very recent.
Yep, this was the year before I started stand-up in 2008. So, the end of the WoW scenario really drove me to some heavy shit.
In 2007, the band ran out of steam and decided... Because they'd been
Why
full
does
of
that
steam.
make you laugh so much, Ivan?
He's imagined the band was steam powered.
All
That's what
very funny. It's all very funny.
In 2007, the band ran out of steam and decided to go their separate ways, but not before recording a 17-track studio album entitled Stand in the Star, a Verse and a Chorus, named after the instructions given to every contestant on TV's Pop Idol. The duo lived...
17 tracks.
17 tracks, 71 minutes long.
Did you have skit interludes like rap albums?
Nope. Every single one of those was a song, Ivo. It's a very, very long and hard listen.
Can I ask what some of the song titles were, James?
Some of the song titles, Write It Down, Mrs. Brown, Bamboozled Panfish.
Fuck, you're making those up.
No, the real names. Operating on the 49th vibration. A fridge full of fudge.
Fucking the beans. That was another one.
yeah. Bean fucker. Glad the golf socks fit like feet gloves. Good song title.
That's a great song title.
These all sound like lines from your Edinburgh show.
The duo, this is an insight into the recording of the 17-track album, and anyone familiar with Captain Beefheart will know where they've got their recording tactics from. The duo lived in a recording studio in Hawley for a month, sleeping on the floor in sleeping bags, mainly eating cuppa soup and cheesy rice.
Captain Beefheart, when he recorded Trout Mask Replica.
He imprisoned the band in a recording studio for a month, and they lived on beans, and he gave them like $1 a day, and they created one of the greatest albums of all time. Stand in the Star, a verse and a chorus, had a similar effect. So I nominate them for the Paddock because it's the most absurd thing I've ever heard in my life.
Shall we hear? Have we got one more track?
Yeah, we've got
Just
one
to
more.
finish off on the WoW scenario. One more track from the WoW scenario, please.
Oh.
Where am I?
Is this fridge full of fudge?
No, this is Bon Voyage at Michu Royale.
Sounds like a massage CD.
Yeah.
My favourite type of music is music that sounds like it might be a mistake.
Now that does sound like Trout Mask.
Yeah. Lovely. Lovely, right?
It's a long intro.
God, I'm crazy every time I sing it.
I think that's enough of the WoW scenario.
He's just started singing.
Yeah, well, we are
Singing's the
under time
worst bit,
pressures,
mate.
and
Like-
fucking hell, it
like
takes
no-
long to get into those songs.
No, right, no bullshit. That sounds fucking incredible.
You love it.
I really do like it.
I
Do you-
know. Oh, but-
can I have a CD?
Am I being set up for a joke?
No, literally, you're not. I've got
Seems at the
shitty
minute-
taste
it
in
seems
music.
at the minute that I'm going to go, yeah, do you want to go? We can shove it up your ass. In front of
Right,
everyone.
let's take it to a vote. Now, if you... we're going to have a vote whether they should be in the paddock as one of the greatest bands of all time. I mean, it seems academic now, really, doesn't it?
I'm going for it.
Or whether we're
go for
going
it.
to
I
rule
really enjoyed
against
what I
them.
heard.
Anyone in the audience?
As a
Mash
terrible-
Hands up
in
if
the
they're in the
audience.
Yeah,
paddock.
hands up if they're in the paddock.
Okay.
That's not bad.
And hands up in the abattoir.
Abattoir. They were a poor imitation
And
of the
they have
Capri Sun
made it into the
Quartet.
paddock.
They've gone to the paddock, yes.
James, what is the scrape you have for us on this final live performance?
So this happened a couple of years ago, and it doesn't show me in a particularly good light, but I'm still quite proud of myself. So
I opened a tin of beans.
Yeah. I've been out with Josh actually, and some other people, and I got very drunk. Very drunk, and
Lads
in town, right? And I got the night bus home. I live in London, and I got on the night bus.
Josh
and
was away
normally-
stealing a night with someone, presumably.
It's 2 a.m. I'll take anything. Acaster gone, so it's all fine. Helium, no use to me, mate.
So I was on a night bus on my own, and I normally keep myself to myself on a night bus. I don't really do much. I'm quite a nice, timid person. But on this particular, I remember at one point turning to the girl next to me and asking her where we were, and she told me to shut up and not speak to her. So and started out very friendly.
What
and
kind of time was this? Like 3
This was like pretty late, 3 or 4. And then a group of about 10 lads got on the bus, and they were proper lads as well. And they all got on, and Ivo was, as usual, the ringleader. And come on, lads, don't be afraid to let your hair down.
My catchphrase.
Yep. And bus was full. There were no seats left. So the lads just stood in the aisle of the bus. They were all eating chips and really loudly shouting. You know, they just take over the whole bus. And everyone else went very quiet and scared. And they were shouting very loud. And at one point, one of the lads started shouting about his friend, going, "What's that, Robert? You want to suck a dick, mate? Hey, everyone on the bus. Robert here wants to suck a dick. There's nothing Robert likes more than sucking dicks really, really, really loud." And then Robert went, shut up, Alistair. And then I said...
Were you sat among the lads?
I was sat, they were kind of like, as far from me as this gentleman is here. They were kind of like, in front of, I was in that bit of the
10
bus.
10 foot.
Yeah, about there. So that's where Alistair was.
15.
I love it when big groups of lads are immediately made less menacing by their names.
Yeah, Alistair.
I got beaten up by these big guys, Robert and Alistair.
Yeah. So he said, "Shut up, Alistair." And I thought in my head this was funny before I said it. I thought this was funny and the lads would all think it was funny. So he said, "Shut up, Alistair." And I went, "Yeah, Alistair, you want to watch your mouth."
Oh!
Wow.
I think that was a funny joke, right? And they all just looked at me and they went, and then they just carried on. So I thought, brilliant. I can keep doing this.
Don't mess with him. He's the guy from the WoW scenario.
They didn't respect the rules of music. They won't respect the rules of the bus. So I thought I'd just carry on doing it. So I carried on doing it all night, all the time on the bus. Every time Alistair said something really loud, I'd do a quip, always involving his name and quite loud. So at one point, Alistair went, "There's too much sauce on these fucking chips." And I went, "Classic Alistair." Really loud. And at one point, the girl next to me...
How many times did you do this?
A lot. I was doing it a lot. Every time he was saying a lot of
And
things.
did you think
really
it was
loud.
going down well?
Yeah, I thought the lads think this is funny. I'm amusing myself. No victims. I'll just get off the bus in a minute and it'll be fine. So I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. I thought we're all having a lovely time. And then the girl who was sitting next to me, who, let's bear in mind, hated me at the beginning of the trip, turned to me and went, "You might want to shut up," like concerned for me. And I went, "Why? I'm not scared of Alistair. He looks like he's about 16. And that was what tipped him over the edge. And he kind of come over to me, stood right in front of me, and went, "What the fuck did you say, mate?"
He was 18.
Yeah.
Legal
He was
fuck
18.
beans.
Been fucking beans for 2 years. But came over to me and he went, "What the fuck did you say?" And but because I was so like, I've been trying to get his attention for ages, and so I was so happy that he was finally paying me attention. So I just I went, "I just said you look 16, Alistair." And he went, "I'll show you who the fuck looks 16." And I went, "How are you going to do that?" Just going to get a line of people and be like, "He's 16, he looks 16, but he's not. He's big for his age."
Did you have any fear in you at this point?
No, at this point, no fear whatsoever. Just thinking, me and Alistair were now like a really funny double act, and we're having a little laugh with a couple of mates. And then he went, "No, I'm going to drag you out the bus by your teeth and kick your fucking head in." Right, and then he started really...
He was a child of the teeth.
No, Gemma Capri-Sun in your fucking face. You better hear a pin drop, mate. So he started graphically describing how he was going to beat me up. He's going to take you out, so I'm going to stamp on your eyes and then smash your head against the curb, all this stuff. And at this point, it was the funniest thing I'd ever heard in my life, in my head. So he was telling all this graphic stuff, and I was really laughing. I was doubled over. I was really laughing about it, so much so that his friend intervened, put his hand on Alistair's chest and went, "Alistair, you might want to back off, mate. This bloke looks mental."
James, can I just... how close were you to home at this point?
I don't. At this point, it's the number 29 bus, if you're familiar with it. I don't know where I was
got
during
maced
this.
on the number 29 bus.
Sorry?
I once got maced on the number 29.
Classic Alistair.
What was it? Was it by Cheryl Cole?
I bet James had gone way past his home just to keep up the banter.
Yeah, classic bants with him.
It's not a nice story, actually.
What, you were talking to this girl, and then things moved on, and the police came after she called them?
No, I got on. It was one of those bendy buses, and and I was getting a lift back into London from a comedian that from Wrexham. He was late for the gig because he was doubling up with Liverpool, which isn't a satisfactory double up. Not going to name him. And he dropped us. He was a London driver. Apparently, he dropped us in Enfield, which for anyone from London isn't fucking London. So we had to get the N29 at 4 a.m. and some youths got on and maced the whole bus.
What? You're joking?
Really? No, I'm not. No. I don't know why I brought this up, because it's actually a really horrible story.
It's a horrible story, yeah. Well, it was worth it for us getting to hear you use the phrase "some youths got on."
Some rapscallions.
Yeah, and they thought what they do is they spray mace, everyone wouldn't be able to breathe, and then they got off at the next stop, meaning that we'd have to get off and then they'd mug us. But what they hadn't accounted for was the fact it was a bendy bus, so we just walked down the front.
Beat the system.
1-0 to the educated.
I used to fall asleep on the night bus home a lot, and I would end up right out by the M25, and I lived in Ealing, and the bus driver said to me, "This is the stop where muggers wait for people who've fallen asleep with their phones in their hand. They run on and grab it."
Oh my God.
And I got off.
Nelson!
And I got off, and he was driving the bus back into London. So I said, "Can I just stay on the bus?" And he said, "No." And this was at 4 a.m. He said, "You have to wait." And I watched him drive the bus around the corner, wait at the next bus stop for half an hour. And I had to stand outside the bus for half an hour. And then he opened the doors. I got on and said, "Single back, hi." And then we drove off. Absolutely ludicrous.
Bloody ticking boxes. Life, eh? Where were we?
So,
I'm glad you told that, because it did bring us around from my awkward macing story that created an odd energy in the room.
No.
And we're back there.
Sorry.
Fun fact, mace is based on hot sauce. Carry on.
James, rescue us.
Okay, so...
There wasn't any hot sauce on his chips.
I was on the night bus. So yeah, at this point, I'm laughing at him while he threatens me. His friend says to him, "Alistair, you might want to back off. This bloke looks mental." To which I said, "Yeah, Alistair, I wouldn't mess with me. I'm from the projects." If you know where the project... I'm not from the projects. Very from the projects.
Unless it was a geography project.
Yeah. In which case, I'm very much from them forever. But I turned to the girl next to me to be like, hey, wasn't that projects line really funny? And she had gone. She wasn't there anymore. And all 10 of the lads had formed a horseshoe around me. So
Lucky.
that I was...
Lucky. Now we're back on classic Widdicombe terrain.
Horseshoes, much more.
Yeah.
So they were just like that. And one of the lads was like holding 2 of those poles in the bus, so I couldn't get out. And then when I looked at him, he went, "Don't you fucking look at me, you just face the fucking front." And I faced the front, and as soon as I did it, I'd lost. I snapped out of my like, this is funny, and I was really scared. I was just like, oh no, this is not, actually this is a much worse situation than I thought. There's 10 of them. And they started saying stuff like, you're not laughing anymore. Yeah. And I was still replying to them, but just like very honestly, just going, no, I'm not laughing. This is, I really regret everything I've done so far, and I'm kind of starting to see this for what it has been, and this is looking very bad for me. And so the way I decided to get out, because they started like, they were looking. I faked a phone call. I pretended like my phone was vibrating in my pocket, and then I answered it, and I started. How I thought I'd get out. I started going, yeah, all right, mate, yeah, no, 29, yeah, on the 29, yeah, there's about 10 of them, yeah. Oh yeah, bring that guy. Yeah, bring him. Like I'm rallying my troops. Just getting everyone from the projects to come and help me.
The only way that could have been better is if you'd gone, "Oh, hey, the police."
So do you think? You look like you do now.
I looked exactly like this.
You're wearing a Scrape Master
t-shirt.
t-shirt.
Scrape Master t-shirt. They know, like, this is a classic Scrape, mate, by the way. We really hate to beat the shit out of you in a minute, but this is going to make a great anecdote. So
He had a microphone as well, which is good because they're standing in a horseshoe. So it's like theatre in the round.
Pass it around.
What were you wearing? Like, did you look threatening in any way?
No, I looked. You know how I normally look.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look like that. It was pretty bad. And
by the way, nothing less sexy than what are you wearing in Widdicombe's accents.
Yeah.
Cheryl Cole is not in for a good phone call later on.
You're on the bus.
Are you alone, Cheryl? Do you look like you normally look?
Tell me what kind of beans they are.
The ones with the pork sausages in them. Wow, come on.
Right, James, get on with the story.
Come on, guys.
I am like Dawson in PE right now. I am like Dawson in PE.
Yeah, so I was faking the phone call, and as I was doing that, they started to actually get distracted and start looking at each other and go, who the fuck are you talking to? Who are you talking to? At which point I got confident again, and I went like that to one of them while I was
For people
talking.
listening,
Just put my finger in the air, like, excuse me a second, I'm just talking to my associates who are going to duff you up. So,
Duff you up!
Duff you back to the Stone Age, mate.
Sorry, Alice, do you want a knuckle sandwich?
Yeah.
You bunch of youths.
So that kind of like distracted them enough. And we were on the bottom deck, and we got to a bus stop, and underneath the arms of the guy who like was holding the poles, I could see the doors. And so like we stopped, and the doors like hissed open, and then when they hissed closed, I basically, when I was on the phone, I went, yeah, bring that guy, and then just kind of jumped into like a U shape under his arm, leading mainly with my head, like a salmon jumps. Under and really high in the air, towards. From the moment I left under his arm, I didn't touch the floor. I was jumping as I was going through the air. One of them attempted to kick me in the head, and I dodged it in midair.
Sorry, was this the Matrix?
Were you going on
Bear in
bullet
mind,
time?
I was very drunk. It may have seemed cooler in my head now. Leaping through the air, and I went through the doors as they were closing. They closed behind me. I landed on the other side of the doors. And here's an image of a man who's not learnt his lesson. As soon as I landed, I just went... on the other side, just arms splayed like, yeah, fuck you. And then it drove off, and then I realised there was another bus stop about 20 seconds down the street. I just ran into an alley and ran home and got away with it. But when I woke up in the morning...
That is an amazing different side to James Acaster when he drinks.
Yeah, I wasn't, as I said, not showing me in a good light, but, you know. Still a scrape, isn't it? That's still a scrape.
That's a genuine scrape.
That is a genuine scrape.
That's the difference between a scrape apprentice and a scrape master.
Round of applause, James Acaster!
Hello.
And James Acaster has arrived.
Josh?
You right?
How dare you even ask me in such a jovial manner if I'm all right? You know exactly how I'm doing.
What's up?
What's up? What? I wonder what could be up, Josh. I don't know, maybe I got cabbaged again by the very man who's meant to be protecting me against the cabbaging.
Well, I think we need to go back to the start on this one. You'd been cabbaged. If people are listening for the first time, James has a feud with his friend's son who keeps sending him cabbages in the post and leaving cabbages in his bed.
Yes.
And writing notes saying you've been cabbaged.
Thank you very much. 9-year-old boy.
Mick Trent, if you're listening, keep up the good work. No, don't.
It will keep up the good work with consenting adults.
So what happened? What would take us through what happened?
What? I'll tell you what happened. I was in Edinburgh during the last week, and I got a letter in the post, which is very rare for a house you're only living in for a month. And I opened it thinking it would be something nice from my parents, maybe, who'd been to visit and knew the address, and maybe they sent me a nice little, well done for completing the Fringe, James, or something like that. And I open it up, and I'll tell you what as well, it is the wettest cabbage leaf I've received so far. All the other cabbage leaves have been at least a little bit dry. It felt horrible and clammy. And there was a note in it, written by Mick, that said, cabbaged again, ha ha ha. But I looked at the front of the envelope, and that was not Mick's handwriting or Trent's handwriting, and I knew I recognised the handwriting from somewhere. I was trying to figure it out, and then Trent came in and went, did you get the cabbage leaf that Josh sent you? The very person, my confidant.
Let me defend myself. What would you do in this situation? I was at your house in Edinburgh.
Right, I would not cabbage someone. There you go. How's that?
Right, Mick Trent, the 9-year-old son of David Trent, comes in.
Yeah,
and
he wasn't there for the whole month. Let's outline that.
Yeah,
he happened to be visiting on the same day as you.
He happened to be visiting on the same day as me. He comes in. David goes, Mick, why don't you write a cabbage note for James, and Josh can leave it, can give it to him tonight when he sees him.
Right.
Yeah. I forgot to deliver the cabbage note. I got back to London, found it, thought, I can't let down a 9-year-old boy, so I'll have to send James some cabbage in the post.
Oh, suddenly you got more loyalty to this 9-year-old boy you've met for the first time in your life.
What would you
the 29-year-old boy who's been nothing but true to you?
How did you feel when you opened it?
Felt devastated once again. I thought, I can't trust anyone. He's the person I've turned to this whole time. Been talking about the cabbaging. He's been counselling me. He's meant to be getting me through the whole thing. It's like if you went to your psychiatrist and they went, yeah, I've been sleeping with your wife.
It's pretty quick. Your shirt is cabbage coloured.
Yeah, well, today, yeah, it's affected me quite a lot. Psychologically, it's awful. I know it's no coincidence that Josh played Loser by Beck before I came on today.
Well, there's no cabbage-based songs that I can think of. So what's your plan, cabbaging-wise?
I've got a plan, but I'm not going to tell you, am I? You're the last person I'm going to tell anything to now.
I wouldn't let this continue, though. Don't think you have to cabbage because you've been cabbaged.
No, Lucy, it's very clear at this point that is the only way I'm going to end it.
You're wrong.
Do you think you break the cycle of cabbaging?
Yeah, you must do immediately.
I've got to cabbage. Or I'm not cabbaged. Lucy, you're very confusing sensei at this point.
Immediately stop the urge to further cabbage.
But I haven't done a single one yet.
Exactly. But you're thinking about it, aren't you?
Yeah, it's all I ever think about. I'm thinking about how I'm going to cabbage this 9-year-old back. And now I've got to somehow incorporate a revenge on Josh.
It's not his fault. Don't blame the child.
Blame that child. He invented the whole thing.
Blame the parents.
Well, yeah. I mean, David Trent is the perfect person to blame.
Maybe you should cabbage David Trent to draw a line under it all.
No. Are you crazy? Just bring on a whole whirlwind of fruit and veg.
You could do what the Mafia did and then, like, cabbage David Trent's dad or mother. Like,
Monty Trent?
One a bit more
Monty Trent.
vulnerable.
No, I can't.
That'll stop it.
He's a judge. That's true. I can't do that.
You can't cabbage a judge.
No. When I was in secondary school,
yeah,
I wrote...
Can I just say Neil's just sat down?
Pulling up a chair. When I was in secondary school, I wrote a love poem to Cat Dealey and sent it in to SMTV.
Oh, I can't deal with this.
Not only that,
but
Josh.
also,
Yeah.
That's late secondary school. That would have been happening.
Oh, it was way too late into secondary school, and I
didn't get read out.
No, it didn't get read out, but I know it off by heart. I know the
Have you
poem
got
off
some
by heart.
romantic music you can put under this, Neil?
Yep, let me begin.
O fairest cat, thou art not fat. Already off to a good start. I think we all agree.
Pie in your hands.
O fairest cat, thou art not fat.
I love the olden language.
I'd like to chat about this and that. I can't describe how you make me feel. I'd like to take you out for a meal. And while eating my bowl full of pasta, looking at you, my heart would beat faster. Then back to my house to watch Star Trek. Oh cat, how I love thee. Please dump deck. That is a reference to Chums, which was the regular Friends spin-off.
Yeah. Why do you know this? Well, carry on and we'll discuss that afterwards.
I never want us to be apart, so Cat Dealey, to you, I give my heart. Never got read out.
Didn't it?
Never
Do
got
we
read
think Dealey saw it?
I don't know. I think they would have. I bet they got loads of stuff like that.
Do you
in
know
every
what?
single week.
I missed out. And slightly, I was a bit disappointed halfway through.
Yep.
When you did rhyme faster with
pasta.
I thought it was going to be something like, and you'll be called Cat Acaster.
Yeah, I should have done that. I can't believe I missed that open goal.
So she probably didn't see it, did she?
I reckon they would have got loads of love letters in for Cat Dealey every week and just put them in a
So
pile.
what was your thought process?
I thought it was funny.
Right.
I wrote it because I thought it'd be funny for them to read it out.
Yeah.
I was like, because I've seen stuff that they'd had written up, that they read out on SMTV. I thought, this is rubbish. This kind of stuff people are writing into SMTV. I bet I could write something that would definitely get read out on this. So, not only did I write that poem, though, I wrote it and then sent it off, and then I told everyone at school, and then and the reason why I know it off by heart still is I recited it many times on the bus and stuff like that. I performed that probably more than I performed La 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 Humpty.
Welcome, James Acaster is here.
Yes.
Catherine Ryan is here.
Hello.
Now, it's time for a cabbaging update. Do you want to just fill us in, James? Should we just give the backstory? Quickly, James is being bullied by a 7-year-old boy who repeats...
9-year-old. He's very particular about that.
Who repeatedly sends him cabbage through the post, or leaves cabbages around.
Yeah. Well, it's bad enough when it was just a 9-year-old boy, but it has expanded. I've been cabbaged by him, his father, his grandfather.
Whoa.
You, let's not forget that.
I didn't do the cabbaging.
You put a cabbage leaf in an envelope and posted it to me, mate.
It was from Mick.
You did it, mate.
Let's not dwell on who did what.
No, let's not. You wouldn't want that, would you? I got cabbage, so now I've been getting cabbage by members of the public as well at gigs.
At gigs?
At gigs. So
what happens?
Walked on at the second half in Reading. There's a cabbage on stage with a post-it note stapled to the cabbage.
Wow.
that said cabbaged with lots of exclamation marks. And
What
the
did
culprit.
you do?
Oh well, I picked up and said who did this, and I didn't even have to ask. The culprit was so delighted with himself. So easy to pick them out of the audience. So she was on the front looking very happy, and then she's like, yeah, I thought of it on the way here, so I just ducked into a shop and bought some post-its and a cabbage, and then I had to staple it on. I was like, where did you get a staple gun? So she did that. I turned up to my venue in Birmingham, went to the dressing room, and in the dressing room was hidden 3 cabbages in different places. So one was on top of the toilet with a flag stuck in it that said, you just got cabbaged, have a good show. And I thought, well, that's probably the only cabbaging I'll get. And then I sat down on the sofa, there was a cabbage behind the pillow. And there was...
Do you know who did it?
Yeah, it was the venue staff.
It's funny when you have to say to yourself in the day, this is probably the only cabbaging I'll get.
Yeah. And this is probably the last of the cabbaging, right? And then there's an ice bucket, and I open the ice bucket, there's a cabbage inside it. Oh. And then also recently, my girlfriend lives in New Zealand because, I know I don't know how to do an easy relationship. I'm pretty clever. She lives in New Zealand, and because she's very nice, she sent me a package over from New Zealand of loads of like New Zealand treats, chocolates and stuff.
Yeah.
And also a cabbage, but she didn't. It wasn't. She's not allowed to send an actual cabbage. Yeah, that's in fruit and veg out of New Zealand. So she made one out of modelling clay. So I got my first man-made cabbage.
Oh my
modelling
word.
clay cabbage. Yeah, but it looked. So, I really love puddings.
Yeah.
And so it shows how much I love puddings. Is that as soon as I saw it, I smelt it to see if I could eat it. Because I didn't know if it was like made of modelling clay or something nice, like fondant.
Marzipan
Yeah,
cabbage.
I thought it's like a fondant cabbage.
So how are you going to bring this to an end?
I had it planned, I had it in the diary, and I had to cancel it because I had a whole thing that I'd overlooked. So I'm really annoyed. So I was meant to be getting him this week and stopping it all, and I've had to reschedule. And
you're not going to kill him, are you?
Look, if you were getting cabbaged by progressively more and more of the nation, you'd start to think dark thoughts as well, Josh. I'm gonna set the score, whatever the term is. I'm gonna even the playing field. I'm gonna
put that cabbage
stop
to
it.
bed.
Yes. So, but I can't tell you how because he listens to the podcast, and as soon as I say how, he's gonna get me with the same thing first.
Oh my word!
He did that last time.
Yeah.
By sending me one in the post. So
you're getting like reverse groomed, small boy.
Just negged.
Yeah. Wow, I'm very excited. So we will watch the space. If anyone wants to cabbage James Acaster, what's your address?
Sorry, mate. I just swallowed a whole super whole. I didn't expect to do it. I'm really off.
Okay. Well, let's go before. Have you just been cabbaged on the phone? Now we are all very excited here on the Josh Widdicombe Show on XFM because for the last few months James Acaster has been being cabbaged and he's got his revenge and he was here to tell us why. If you don't know what it is, we have now what we would call the story so far.
Got in bed in the dark. It feels a bit weird. Got up to the light on, full of cabbage leaves. Just full of cabbage leaves in the bed.
What?
Loads of cabbage leaves in the bed, and then a napkin. And written on the napkin it said, "You got cabbaged." Ha 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 ha. Lol 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 from Mick. I've been cabbaged again. I will never declare peace until I have cabbaged you back. I promise I will cabbage you back one day, and when that day comes, you will know that I am the true cabbager.
How do you feel, Mick?
I don't feel anything.
I turned up to my venue in Birmingham, went to the dressing room, and in the dressing room was hidden 3 cabbages in different places. So one was on top of the toilet with a flag stuck in it that said, you just got cabbaged, have a good show. And then I sat down on the sofa, there was a cabbage behind the pillow. And there's an ice bucket, and I opened the ice bucket, and there's a cabbage inside it.
Coming up, James Acaster gets his revenge.
Josh Widdicombe, Acaster XFM.
Listen up, it's happening. James Acaster has got his revenge. Let's just see who is in the room for this event. Producer Neil.
Present.
Josh Widdicombe, present. Intern Charles.
Hello.
Nish Kumar.
Never been more excited about anything in my entire life.
James Acaster, you've been cabbaged for 2 months, 3 months?
Yeah.
And what's happened?
Finally, Josh. Finally, you're looking at a new man who can hold his head up high, walk down the street without fear of ridicule, because the score has been levelled.
With a 9-year-old boy.
Yeah, this 9-year-old boy, he knows what the score is now. On Friday, originally, I was my friend was going to drive me to Cambridge, where the boy lives. But he had to pull out. So I had to pay for a train. So the first of the expenses. I'd like to point out the entire cabbaging cost me over £100. That's probably early doors. I should point that out. Yeah. I spent over £100 on cabbaging this 9-year-old. I'm still the winner. I'm still the winner. Yeah. Got the train. got to Cambridge, and oh, by the way, David refused to help me. David Trent is Mick's dad.
Yeah.
He's my friend, and he refused to help me, so I had to...
He refused to help you bully his son?
Yeah.
Absolutely mind-blowing.
Really bad. Well, bearing in mind, David had guilted me after the first... When I got cabbaged by Mick the first time, David said, "Why didn't you cabbage him back? You're a weirdo." And had a go at me and called me weird. So I thought David would help me cabbage him back, but he refused to. Instead, he helped Mick cabbage me further another 4 or 5 times. Now, I had to instead go sneakily to David's wife, and she put a key out for me so that I'll be able to get in the house.
Absolutely incredible.
So I arrived at Cambridge. First of all, I had the conundrum of... I had to buy the cabbages.
Yeah.
And I knew what my plan was. My plan involved a lot of...
You're not tempted to rent a car?
Well, no,
I
because...
thought you were going to say rent a
I
cabbage.
think we have spoken about my driving history on XFM before, Josh. The last thing I want is to write off a car full of cabbages, and that be the way I actually go. Cabbaging myself to death.
Get a cabbage caught under the pedal, he couldn't brake because of the cabbage.
No, it's a Savoy! So... The conundrum I had was that I needed to buy the cabbages, but I also needed to transport the cabbages to the house.
Yeah.
So I knew I had to get a cab.
One word. Ocado.
I knew I had to get a cab. So I had to decide whether I got the cab straight from the station to a supermarket, or if I went to the supermarket and then tried to hail a cab with the cabbages.
What, you were going to keep the cab running?
The cabbage. What do you think about that?
I went through that process in my head of how you could make a pun and decided against it.
You made the wrong decision, mate.
I went in to Tesco Extra.
Yeah.
No cabbages on sale. They didn't have any cabbages on the shelves. I went in a Co-op. No cabbages on the shelf.
Yeah, that's because Mick's bought them all to send to you.
That's what was going on in my head. I was like, he bought all the cabbages. What? Hold on, I'm not at home right now. What's going on? I went to Sainsbury's. 3 white cabbages. 5 red ones.
Not good enough.
I bought them all, though.
Yeah, of course.
You bought 8 cabbages?
Bought 8 cabbages.
Did you go self-service or did you go through the...
I went to self-service with those, and that's annoying because you have to weigh every single one of them. So it was a really slow process while the people behind me saw me like loading up a bag full of 8 cabbages.
This guy is going to enjoy making his own coleslaw.
Save me some, make you look passionate.
Fortunately, they were all XFM fans, so they were like, Acaster's getting his revenge.
Yeah. This really got to this guy. Then I didn't know where else to go. I needed more cabbages. I still hadn't got enough cabbages. So I went outside and hailed a taxi. Got in, I said, "Mate, I need you to take me to somewhere where I can buy a lot of cabbage."
Oh, no!
It's like a cabbage-based remake of the film Collateral.
I said, "I don't know my way around Cambridge. You need to show." So he drove me to a really grubby greengrocer. I went in and got 5 more because that's all the cabbages they had, but they're quite grotty. I got them. Then he took me to a Budgeons. Oh, by the way, every time I'm in these shops, he's keeping the meter running outside.
Did he ask you why?
No, he just went, "Okay, fine." What the most tense moment was when I went into Budgeons and I had to buy my own trolley. I had to do the £1 thing, and I couldn't get the pound thing to work, and the meter was running. I was just like, oh man. Got quite a lot in Budgeons. After the Budgeons shop, I had 20 cabbages.
Right, I have a question at this point. Do we think that cabbaging is a Cambridge-specific activity? Because at no point has anyone questioned why you're buying up all of the cabbages. At no point has the taxi driver asked why you have 15 cabbages.
In Budgeons,
right,
I did get questioned.
Right, okay.
by the man in front of me, who turned around and said, "What are you doing? Are you having a cabbage party or something?"
Yeah, again, that's not a thing.
And I said, "Something like that." Also, in Budgeons, I bought 5 bags of Brussels sprouts.
Oh, mini cabbages.
Got in the cab. He drove me to Trent's house. Got all the stuff.
He didn't even ask. He just knew.
Yeah, he was like, "Go to David Trent's, yeah? About time someone did this. He's cabbaged me 5 times this week." Let myself in. Went up to the 9-year-old boy's bedroom.
Oh, good lord.
Then
he was going to be out. You knew he was going to be out.
He was out. He was at school.
What time of day was this?
This was like 1 o'clock, I'd say, in the afternoon. Then I set about removing all of his belongings from the room. Just clearing the shelves and the cupboards. Everything off the floor, and I moved all of them.
Does he have a lot of stuff?
He has a lot of stuff. He's a hoarder. He's a proper hoarder who doesn't throw away anything. He had rocks that he'd found on on walks, and not even nice-looking rocks. He had a series of bouncy balls that he keeps in socks, and I don't even know why that is. A Full Metal Jacket kind of thing. But I got all the stuff, and I moved all of the stuff into his parents' bedroom, hid him in that bedroom. Then I replaced all the things with the cabbages. So I started replacing all the cabbages. By the time I put all the cabbages out, so I kind of put the cabbages on the surfaces and then peppered the Brussels sprouts between all the cabbages to fill up the gaps.
Right, okay.
I still wasn't happy. I went outside and I got another cab. I went to Tesco. I bought 25 more cabbages. from the big Tesco this time in Fulbourn.
Oh my word!
Fulbourn Tesco has got loads of cabbages.
Not anymore, it hasn't.
Not anymore. 25 of them in a big trolley. Got them in. Got back to the house. I put the 25 new cabbages. It covered the floor. All over the floor.
Oh no!
All over all the surfaces. So it looked like a nightmare. It looked horrible. So many cabbages everywhere.
Before we'll play a song at the break of when you've set it up and before he gets home.
Well, that's what happened. I put all those cabbages out. I blue tacked my phone to the corner of the bed so it was recording the whole thing. I heard him open the door and I hid. Oh, also, I should point out, I put, like he did to me, I put a post-it on the front door saying cabbage moment. Yeah. Which is what he did to me, and I drew up my own sign saying "You got cabbaged," spelt wrong like he does, and then a drawing of a random bike in the corner, which is what he did to me as well. And then I hid.
Josh Widdicombe. XFM.
The Josh Widdicombe Show on XFM. Nish Kumar and producer Neil are here.
From Tenterhooks.
The important thing is James Acaster is here after 2 months of a 9-year-old son of his friend sending him cabbages. He's got revenge. We've got to the point in the story where you got into his house, you left 50 cabbages and Brussels sprouts in his bedroom.
Yes.
You set it up, you removed all the belongings from his bedroom. You set up your phone to film his reaction. You heard the door open.
Ran away and hid.
At any point, did you find yourself, before Mick arrived, thinking, I'm stood in a 9-year-old's bedroom that I have covered in cabbages. What has happened?
Nish, throughout the entire day, I thought, this is the weirdest thing I've ever done, and this might be one of the worst days of my life. As I was doing it, I was thinking, what has my life come to? That I'm not even looking at the price of these cabbages, I'm just ringing them up because I want to get him so bad.
Anyway.
So, press record on the phone, ran out, closed the door to his bedroom, ran into another room, and hid, and listened.
Did you know he was going to arrive at that time?
Yeah, his mum had texted me saying, just coming back from school now. So I knew he was coming.
Was his sister there as well?
His sister had already got home, and
she was in on it.
Yeah. So I said, "What do you think about this?" She went, "Brilliant." just play along with it. She's like, no problem. So there's a post-it note on the front door that says "cabbage moment," which is what he did to me. Right. So I hear him coming in the door going, and he's clearly said to his mum, "What's that?" And she's gone, "I don't know, have you been cabbaging again?" So on the way in the door, he's going, "I didn't do it, Mum. I haven't done any cabbaging today. I haven't done it." And so I'm in the room thinking, oh no, he's about to have a full-on argument with his mum over this. It's my fault. But he didn't do that. He went upstairs, and then I heard him shout, "What is all my stuff doing in your bedroom?" to his mum.
So why had he been in her bedroom first?
Well, that door I'd left open. So he walked past it, saw all his stuff in the corner, and was like, "Why is my stuff in your room, Mum?" And she was like, "I don't know, have you put it in there?" So I didn't put it in there.
Amazing. She sounds like she knows exactly.
She's doing really
She's
well.
a real grifter.
She's really playing it. And then I hear him open the door to his room.
Quickly say, we have had a tweet in from Little Jason who says, "You missed a trick, James. The Brussels sprouts should have gone in the socks to replace the bouncy balls."
Oh.
That is a good point, but mate, if you'd seen what the Brussels sprouts look like on the surfaces, you would not be saying that. They look beautiful. They filled in all the gaps between the cabbages, so it looked like it was pure cabbage. Now, I hear him open the door to his bedroom, And at that point, I thought, I really hope he doesn't cry. That was all I could think.
I cannot believe that's the first time that possibility had entered your head.
Before then, I'd been riding on pure adrenaline. I've been buzzing off the fact I was doing it. But then at that point, I thought, there's a chance I've gone too far here. Luckily, he started laughing. Right. Walked into his room, and then I came out of hiding, walked in, and just shouted, "Cabbage! You got cabbage, mate! Count all the cabbages!" Really lorded it up in his face. I then sat down, and his first reaction was to pick up his tennis racket and hit the Brussels sprouts at me one by one. Really hard. So I'm now being attacked by my own sprouts. I'm just sitting there taking it. Once he got that out of his system, he was happy to sit with me and admire my creation. Actually, this is pretty cool. Well done. Yeah. He gave me kudos for spelling cabbage the way he spells it.
Yeah.
For drawing the random bike. He was very impressed with it. And then he was very excited because his friend Toby would be around later. And his friend Toby had been basically calling Mick a liar for saying about he had cabbaged me and that we talked about it on the radio. Toby didn't believe him. So Toby came round and saw that the room was full of cabbages.
Amazing.
And Toby is, also 9. And Mick's showing him. And so Toby turns to me and he went, "So you filled a little boy's room with cabbages?" And I went, "Yeah." And he went, "Real cool, mate." I was like, well, you're getting cabbage next, Toby, with that attitude.
So, just to draw an end to it, what happened to the cabbages?
The cabbages, I was very worried that I was wasting food. So I had a gig in Cambridge that evening, and I took all the cabbages with me, and I handed them out at the door, and everyone took a cabbage home with them. Not everyone. There was more than 50 people there. One person went home empty-handed, but handed them out. And by the way, it's really weird when you're giving out cabbages to a room full of people how much people love red cabbage more than anything else. Like,
really?
The audience were really fighting over it. I had Savoy cabbage, I had white cabbage, green cabbage, red cabbage, and sweetheart cabbage, which is like a bit more of a longer effort. And the red cabbage, people were properly fighting over that. Everyone wanted the red cabbage. So
what? So
lovely end to the story.
Did you explain to the audience what had happened, or did you just silently give them cabbages at the beginning?
I told them what had happened and said, "I don't want to waste these cabbages. Please take them home."
Okay.
It is a beautiful end to a beautiful tale. And with that, we wave goodbye to cabbage. Friends on XFM, this is Josh Widdicombe, still with producer Neil.
Morning.
James Acaster.
Yeah.
Now, as a Christmas special, we were doing Strange Place You Spent Christmas Day, but you've catering every time.
Every time catering. Every time perfect.
Strange Place You Spent New Year.
I don't really do gigs on New Year. I did one once, and I accepted it. It was in Gloucester, which is a bit of a way away from Kettering. I was still living in Kettering at the time, and it was in Gloucester, and my friend Jake didn't want to drink on New Year's Eve, so he was like, "Can I come with you to your gig?" And then I won't. I'll just be hanging out with you. So yep, sure, we'll both go to Gloucester together. He hadn't really seen me do many gigs. And on the day, I realised I didn't even know where the venue was, and so I emailed the promoter going, where exactly in Gloucester am I going to? And he went, St Margaret's Church. I was like, well, that sounds like a church. And he went, yeah, it's a church. You're just playing to the congregation. So you didn't tell me it was a gig.
Which is how a lot of your gigs are.
Yeah. Well, the congregation by the end, mate. But so I didn't know, and I turned up, and it wasn't just comedy. I was the only comedian on. No, there was 2 comics on. One of which was the promoter himself, who went to the church and everyone knew him. I got there and there was like basically, so there was like the stage and there was like a whole dance floor empty, and then the audience. And I was like, why are the audience so far away from the stage? And they went, oh, because they want later on they'll be dancing, so we can't put chairs on the dance floor, so they're going to have to be over there. It's like, right, and they're like, you're on second, and we'd like you to do 45 minutes if you can. Like, right, okay, fine.
And before me was a young teenager who went to the church, who had been having guitar lessons, and went on and played a completely unmiked version of Blackbird, but just in the church. It sounded beautiful, but so sad, and just played Blackbird with it. And then he came off, and the vicar went on, and again unmiked again, just went, "There's Matthew there. He's been practicing, hasn't he? It's very, very good, Matthew. Very good, very good. There's a good little round of applause for Matthew. Anyway, now we've got some comedy. This is James Acaster." And then he walked off, and then they didn't really hear him say. So I just walked on. So I made out my names, and they kind of clapped, not knowing.
So were you thinking this is bad?
I'm the only person there who didn't go to the church who was performing. Like everyone else, all the other performers went to the church.
Why have you been booked?
Been booked by the promoter. Had seen me at a gig. Yeah, he's just the normal circuit. You know, he'd seen me at a gig. Just thought, James doesn't swear much. He'll go down well on New Year's Eve in front of the church. So, you know, he got me on that.
You're getting paid?
I was getting paid, but not, you know, I don't care if he hears this now. He'll admit, not enough. Not enough that most people get paid for New Year's Eve gigs. But anyway, so I went on, and there was a drum kit that was behind a lot of times in churches, to soundproof drum kits, they put like this, like it almost looks like bulletproof glass around the drums, really high. So I went on and I pointed at that and went, "Man, you guys really love Jesus, but you hate drummers. You're having to put him behind bulletproof glass." Just silence. Silence.
I mean, that's worth a laugh, isn't it?
It's worth a little bit. They really didn't like it. So then I started. I just played a silence for 40 minutes, really bad.
Did you ever consider coming off stage?
No. At that time, I thought I better do my time. I thought I've got to be a professional. And there were little kids skidding on their knees on the dance floor.
During your set?
While I was on, yeah, just skidding like they're at a wedding. I came off, and my friend Jake was just shaking his head. He just went, "That was horrible." Oh yeah, I know. I said, "Let's just go." We went to get our train. And it's a long story, so should we pick it up? There's a part 2 to this.
Yeah,
that's part 1.
Let's pick it up after Smith and Burrows, When the Thames Froze.
God damn.
Josh Widdicombe. Podcast. XFM.
When the Thames Froze, Smith and Burrows on XFM. We were halfway through James Acaster's worst New Year of all time.
Yes. I've done the awful gig. I died in front of the whole church. And me and my friend Jake going to get our train.
In many ways, for their sins.
Yeah, for their sins. They took it well. Went to the train station, missed our train. So we decided we were obviously going to stay. You know, the worst night you can be stranded somewhere, because the pubs will be open all night. We can just, so we were like, let's go to a pub, celebrate New Year's in Gloucester, and we'll get the train home tomorrow. All the pubs were ticketed, couldn't get in any of the pubs. Went to a KFC, which is where we saw in the New Year. Sitting in KFC together, while a gang of teenagers threatened the staff, and that's when New Year rolled around.
Oh my word!
And then Jake said, "I've been thinking, and I think we're going to have to." I was like, "Oh, I know what we've got to do. I know we've got to go back to the church, because that's our only option. We haven't got enough money for a hotel between us." So we went back to the church, and they were just like finishing up their gig and walking out. So me and Jake were kind of standing outside, and everyone was like looking at, oh no, it's that guy again. I said to one of the leaders, "Can we stay anywhere?" And this young lad who was doing the sound went, "You can stay at mine. My parents, parents won't mind." So we went and stayed at this guy's house. I slept in the spare bedroom, and Jake slept in the office. And we're trying to sneak out in the morning, and his mum popped her head out and went, "Oh, you off? You can have some breakfast if you like. I'll make us all breakfast." Jake just went, "Nah, I shouldn't have thought so." Which, you know, he doesn't know. He's not a rude person.
Right.
He just doesn't know that sounds rude. So she looks a bit, she was like, "Oh, okay, well, where are you going?" "Like, we're going to Kettering." And she went, "Oh, I've got friends who live there." They had a really long chat about Kettering, and then she was halfway through a sentence going, "And then I think me and Jean went to Wicksteed Pub," and then Jake just went, "Actually, we will have breakfast." Okay, so we all sat down with the family. She said, "Oh, we all saw you last night doing your comedy. It was very brave." But I said, "Well, what jobs do you do? What do you do for a living?" And the guy went, the dad said, "Oh, I'm a doctor." And Jake went, "I knew that already. I already knew you were a doctor." The guy went, "How did you know?" He went, "Because you put me up in the office last night, and I got bored. I started looking through the letter rack, and I found a picture of a breast." that was his detective work. Found a picture of a breast. So it was really awkward. And then on the way home, I said to Jake, I said to him, "What was that? Why did you say that? Why did you say to the guy you found a picture of a breast in his letter rack?" And Jake's defence, he said it could have been worse. I could have said tit. But that was, yeah, that was,